Coach Drew and Baylor complete college basketball's greatest rebound and rebuild with a championship.
If you're going to war and I'm coaching, I'm taking these guys.
Baylor, kings of college basketball, #1 in the land, and the trophy is coming to Waco.
Baylor, one of the great turnarounds in college athletics history, national champions in year 18 for Scott Drew.
Our fans that have been with us for the lean years, the good years, and our administration, President Livingstone, Mac Rhodes, they all deserve this. The city of Waco deserves this. Hey, Texas, we got a national championship too. The state deserves it.
Did I stutter?
He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams!
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The 2011 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Robert Griffin III, RG3!
Welcome to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Langoliers, base hit to center, and the Baylor Bears win their first Big 12 tournament championship.
Their fat little girlfriends are telling them what they want to hear, which is how great you are.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Yep, just ready for OU.
You can't handle the truth.
Here's Drake Toll.
And welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den after a long Memorial Day weekend. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Drake Toll alongside J.D. PicKell. We got Marquise Cooley up in here with Andrew Robertson, Jack McKenzie, and Armstrong Sims. Back from Jamaica, J.D. PicKell. Welcome back to the stew, my friend.
Man,
Petty Clinic Low T.
Good to be here, man. Petty Clinic Low T feels like home. I'm glad we got a full cast these days. We got Marquise on the couch, A-Rob on the sticks,
Fool on the drums,
Armstrong, on the drum. Who's on the drums?
Fool on the drums.
Fool on the drums?
Yeah,
I like it. What's that from? Is that from something?
I don't think I can say that on the air.
Oh,
I don't think
well,
it's
I'm glad to be back. I'm glad we're here. I missed you guys.
Let's start the show today the only way that we can start the show. I'm angry. I've had enough of these people.
Not happy, Bob.
It is every single atrocity that you can put together in collegiate athletics took place over the weekend when the committee watched the video. The committee watched the why Baylor should make it in, what Baylor has done to make the tournament.
Mm-hmm. If you haven't, you should. If you haven't, you should go watch that, because that's good.
Everybody watched it.
You should.
The committee saw that. The committee saw the resume that Baylor Athletics put in, turned into the Big 12. The Big 12 sends it off and says, hey, here's our full body of work. The committee comes out and says, we have factored in. There are teams that have battled COVID this season. We can't just look at RPI. We have to look at a full body of work to say who's going to make it into the NCAA postseason. They said that. I don't know if you saw the commissioner. I said commissioner. What do you call that? The tournament director.
Okay, like the guy who oversaw the bracket or whatever.
Right. The committee, the president of the committee, the head of the committee.
Okay.
But he sounded like a bumbling idiot.
No, what did he say? I didn't see that.
So we got the clip in there logged in. We're going to show it on the show later. When they asked him, they were like, hey, listen, Alabama got in as a bubble team. Why did they get in? And he was like,
he just didn't have any good explanation.
Strength of schedule, that's it. And then just stopped.
Interesting. So I guess the SEC is still the number one RPI, right? I guess that's where probably the stake would have been in the game, I'm assuming.
The SEC is number one RPI. 254-339-1122. Call line is open to get your thoughts today on Baylor being snubbed from the NCAA tournament. That is the SEC is the crown jewel of college baseball. They deserve to have the most teams in, and I think most of the teams they got in, aside from maybe Alabama, who I thought was right there in a race with Georgia to make it in, that was tight. Mm-hmm. But the Big 12, this is one of the first points I want to make. You're telling me that the Big 12 has 3 national seats, 3 of the top 8 teams in the country, but only 4 teams out of that conference are deserving to get in. Yeah. Whereas the ACC gets 8 without hardly any.
It's disrespectful because it says the Big 12 is so top-heavy, which is just not. You look all the way down the line, and there's also a good amount of parity in the league. The thing that I struggle with the snubbing of Baylor is, at the end of the day, you just have to win down the stretch, whether it's fair or not. And I think we see this bias across all sports, whether it's March Madness, the playoff, in college football, all these things. Like, you have to win, and you have to win in a timely fashion. So the fact that Baylor got bit with COVID at the end is just, I mean, I don't know what you call it besides just extremely unlucky and unfortunate. But the fact that they also had the, 44th best RPI, and teams like Florida State with like the 89th best RPI are getting in, that's where I think the real head scratcher is. Because you made a really good point in that video. You're saying, hey, like, look at the resume. Yeah, Baylor was, I mean, shorthanded is like a generous term to use. They were so shorthanded. They like their 3 or 4 best guys out for all those games they dropped down the stretch. So it's interesting to see how much weight they're not putting into COVID. And that's why I think it's frustrating, because Baylor at full strength, I think not only makes this tournament, I think they make some noise in this tournament.
How? I don't get it. Michigan is a quad 2 team, and Scotty B, the Baylor King, just said that. He said, hey, let's be real, Michigan should not have gotten in. For me, I point at North Carolina as one of the things that North Carolina is a gauge for me where I think it's a team that got in that probably shouldn't have. But you want to talk about Michigan? Michigan is 89th in the RPI right now. That is a quad 2 win. If Baylor was to play Michigan, it would hurt their strength of schedule.
So, Drake, I'm what you call remedial. Talk me through what a quad 2 win means.
That's a great question.
So quad 1 win is teams 1 through 50 in the RPI. So a quad 1 win or a quad 1 game would take place against RPI number 5, Tennessee, RPI number 15, East Carolina, RPI 24, Louisiana Tech, RPI 33, Alabama, RPI 44, Baylor.
Interesting, okay.
Quad 2 victory is that 51 to 100 range, which includes Kansas. Kansas was RPI 63 this season. Kansas was 25 spots better than Michigan in this year, 26 spots better than Michigan in the RPI, and Michigan, as an at-large, made the NCAA tournament.
Interesting. So the quads refer to your RPI ranking essentially.
Right.
Okay,
so you have
interesting.
1 to 50, 51 to 100, 101 to 150, and so on.
Did you see the graphic that they released? I saw a graphic on Twitter. It said first 4 out, and the first one was Baylor. I mean, that's a shot in the nuts.
65 overall.
That's so hard.
If a team tests positive, if a team pops, Baylor's in.
Yes.
Which
is
Coach
that true?
Rudd, I mean, they're an alternate, which I don't think is. I mean, obviously that's unprecedented, but Coach Rudd in his interview.
An alternate?
Yeah, they're an alternate.
Oh, wow.
But Coach Rudd's saying he's like, I'm not banking on that happening.
Right.
He's
Well,
like,
I
I don't think that will happen, which is fair.
But it could. So you're saying there's
you gotta
a chance.
believe. You gotta believe, right?
I don't think you want it to happen, though. You know, like that'd be the worst way to get in. You want to go to the postseason, but it's like, man, I wish somebody gets COVID.
I think it's at all costs, right? I mean, these guys, you know,
all is fair.
Costs.
Yeah.
You think Andy Thomas, last year senior, is gonna be like, oh no, we got in because of COVID? No, he's gonna get in. He's gonna play his heart out.
Would he take that post down? That's the real question. Do you delete the tweet?
Yeah. You have to.
It got a lot of likes.
They get a lot
Got a lot of likes, a lot of traction right there.
Yeah,
you got to delete the tweet.
Yeah.
More on that from me. I'm looking at Michigan at 89 RPI. Michigan finished the season 27-17 this year. Their strength of their ELO rankings at 140. Their strength of schedule is at 80. Their RPI 89. I'm trying to find their strength of schedule, and it's just not. It evades me. Okay, yeah, their strength of schedule is at 140.
Okay.
140. 89 RPI, quad 1 wins right now. Michigan is 1-2, 7-5 in quad 2. They have played 3 quad 1 games this season. The Big Ten is terrible at baseball. Michigan, perspective. You know they're 89 RPI. You know who is 88 RPI?
No.
Texas A&M.
Interesting.
They just fired their coach because they were so bad this season.
Interesting.
And a team that has a significantly worse resume and plays in a significantly worse conference made it in as an at-large. You want to know something crazier, even crazier?
Yes.
Prior to, about 4 days ago, Michigan was number 99 RPI in the country. Why are they in the NCAA tournament? Can someone explain to me why Michigan's in the NCAA tournament?
From what it sounds like, no. But
I'm at a loss.
Call in if you know.
Give us a call, 254-339-1122. But that's just a head scratcher. Like across the board, there's a lot of head scratching that's done. It really feels like at the end of the day, the fact that they finished the season so poorly is what did Baylor in, which I understand. How much weight do you put in that in the last 10 games? Like you dropped 7 in your last 10.
It was so tough.
Like everybody's dealing with COVID. Like to an extent, I get where the committee's coming from, but at the same time, do you not look at the full body of work like that? Especially with how many games you play in baseball. Like if you only play 13 games, 11 games, like you do in college football, okay, I get the playoff like argument. But for how many games you play, for the sample size you get for these teams, like should you not look at the more bigger picture of their schedule?
Michigan went 4-6 in their last 10. Baylor went 3-7. Michigan plays in the Big Ten, the worst Power 5 conference in baseball by far. Like it is as far as Alabama football is from Vanderbilt football on a yearly basis.
Interesting.
Is as far as the Big Ten and the SEC. The Big Ten and the fourth best Power 5 conference in baseball. I would say this season the ACC, who somehow got Pac-12, somehow got 8 teams in. There's so many things. I get it. People talk about the committee is the toughest job to have, to be on the committee and have to determine who makes it in, who doesn't, that's so tough, and it's just the worst job in sports. But you can't tell me Michigan being in that they got it right. That doesn't make any sense. You don't have a quota that every conference has to get X amount of teams in.
So play devil's advocate for me. In what world, like, what do you think the committee saw? And it's like, yeah, maybe Michigan's a good team to have in. Because I'm with you. Like, all these things you're telling me, I'm like, I truthfully, as someone who doesn't follow college baseball super closely outside of Baylor and in some sense the Big 12, like, what is the argument? Why would they even make the call to say, yeah, Michigan, you're in. Texas A&M just fired their coach, and your RPI is comparable with them. Like, yeah, you're in. Why would anybody make that decision? Like, what's the appeal there?
I'm trying right now. Like, I'm looking at their schedule. I'm seeing what I can. But the only thing that I can find that I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. At home against Indiana, they won the series 2 out of 3 games.
Okay.
Indiana's number 21.
Was that somewhat recent, or how? I mean, was that
May 14th?
Okay.
So that's
maybe the recency bias
2 weeks ago. Baylor went on the road to Texas Tech and won 2 out of 3 4 weeks ago. Wiped Texas Tech. 26-8 run differential over the course of the weekend. But no. I get it. The committee's got a point. Number 21 Indiana at home. That's a force to be reckoned with.
But one series, like for how much weight you put all that weight into one series to launch them in over a team like Baylor, who, if they're healthy, I think they could really make a run. Like, I don't know if they win the whole thing, but I think they do make some noise and probably win a few games, maybe even a series or 2 in the tournament.
You know what's even worse?
Is that I got excited for it. I was like ready to be the biggest Baylor baseball fan in the world.
We cared so much.
We cared too much.
We cared so much.
And Drake got me excited because he started saying that, injuries on the COVID list was like going to be a huge factor. And I thought, if they're looking at injuries and COVID, like,
they should have.
We got a shot here.
They totally should have. I'm with you. I think that's a great point. They should have. A strong Baylor team probably make some noise in the tournament. Like, you have Andy Thomas healthy. You have Weiser healthy.
And you can't know how our pitching staff would have fared against Kansas State in the tournament, against the OU in the regular season. We would have ended the season on a much higher note if we have our star pitchers. It's very unfortunate.
If Tyler Thomas is dealing off the bump, like, it's a whole different story right now.
Correct.
Right? Like, if he's healthy down the stretch, Baylor, I don't know if they make it, but that definitely changes the odds substantially, right?
Yeah.
Armstrong, yes, if T-Tom is out there, Baylor's got a much better chance if they're healthy. Armstrong, there's a video in the Twitter file. Chicago Gump, committee chairman on how they chose Bama. Strength of schedule being the SEC made the tournament team. Do you have that video?
Wait, Chicago Gump?
Yeah, that's the Twitter person that posted it.
Oh, I thought that was his name.
No.
I was like, no chance.
Not a chance.
Forrest's son. Chicago.
High tier name.
Forrest Gump's son.
Do you have that video, Armstrong? Sorry to kind of put you on the spot there. Perfect.
He said, yeah, we'll get it.
We will get it.
I thought he said, yeah, we're good. I thought I heard, yeah, we're good.
You got me all amped up to watch the video.
I will preface the video, though, that this is the committee chairman when someone, when they ask him about kind of what they use, the metric that they use to put teams in or out, and he's making a case for Alabama, which I have no problem with Alabama being in. Their RPI was, Bama finished their season with an RPI 33. 31-24, quad 1. They played 25 games in quad 1. They were 8-17, but they played 25 games in quad 1. LSU is a little more puzzling for me. They're at 28, but they're they're really not that puzzling. 34-22. Folks didn't think they'd make it in. I think number 4 strength of schedule that exists this year. But we got here. Check out this. This is a video from the NCAA chairman, who's the athletic director at Stetson, when questioned about his decision making with this year's selection.
With Alabama, it just really was, we wanted to make sure that their strength of schedule was very strong. And I think that was pretty much it. I mean, just Alabama's strength of schedule and a very strong conference made them a selection for us.
Jeff Alt's here, select.
Hey, Jeff, you're going on TV today, buddy. You're the chairman of the committee. We're gonna need you to know some things about these teams. Is that okay? I'll know things about the teams. All right, Jeff. What about the bubble teams? Those are the ones they're gonna ask you about. I know everything. I know all about the bubble teams.
He looks like the word TV dinner. Doesn't he? Doesn't he kind of look like the word TV dinner when you just look at him?
Welcome back to the ESPN Selection Show.
Just not at all coherent.
Hey, Jeff. You put Alabama in. Why'd you put Alabama in? Well, we looked, and we looked. We did a lot of looking, and
strength of schedule. He was trying to come up with other things to say, and then he was like, "That's pretty much it. It's pretty much it. Strength of schedule.
Paper flip. That's about it. He was strength of schedule.
He was trying to elongate that statement. Dude, yeah, he just screams like microwavable mashed potatoes and green beans or something like that. But I mean, you look at like the way that Bama finished, because my thought was, okay, maybe Bama finished the season really strong. I think they lost like 10 of their last 12.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Strength of schedule.
That's their case they're making. They've played in a great conference, and this season, they played a ton of quad one games, and I'm not even mad about Alabama. But the fact that he's looking up like, can somebody remind me which team Alabama was? Can somebody
It's like they are the red crimson one.
He's the chairman of the committee and can't hey, why did you put Alabama in? I honestly don't remember. I think they played hard teams.
I didn't know you were going to ask me this question. What did you think this was going to be about? Strength of schedule. I don't know.
What a keen inquiry that you've made here, asking me about Alabama. Alabama's one of the last 4 teams in, along with Michigan, North Carolina, UC Santa Barbara. UC Santa Barbara is one of those teams that no one's talking about, like being mad that they're in. They're also a 51 RPI team.
UCSB.
Why is UCSB in the college baseball tournament?
They have an awesome mascot.
Are they the banana slugs?
Or is that I thought they were the vaqueros.
Oh,
so they were in March Madness. Yeah. No, but what I don't understand, I feel like if they're going off of conference strength, the Big 12 is a strong conference.
Right.
They deserve at least 5 teams.
It's the number 2 conference in the country.
So if that's the criteria, you got a lot of explaining to do for this first team on the bubble, which is us.
Why do you only let 4 schools in? Like, that just feels so backwards. If you're looking at RPI, and that's what you say is important to you, and the Big 12 is statistically the second best conference in the country.
That's what I thought.
You only let 4 teams in? You let 8 in from the ACC?
That's what I don't understand. Is the ACC some perennial powerhouse that I just didn't know about?
Yes, perennial, yes. This year, no.
Their parents?
Oh, okay.
Or powerhouses?
I was not surprised that teams like Virginia made it in. Also, 254-339-1122. Call us in with your thoughts today. Notre Dame making it in. NC State, those made sense. Georgia Tech, to me, was a pretty solid team on the bubble. Miami, I'm okay with. Virginia. You get to North Carolina. Duke finished their season really strong, but even at Duke, Clemson, Louisville. I know Clemson didn't make it in, but Louisville. They were really. I'm looking at the full body work in the ACC, and it's like, wow. Honestly, you shouldn't put in the ACC. Pittsburgh should be in, and some of these other teams that, like in North Carolina, should be out.
Who else in the Big 12 you think has a case to be in the tournament? Like, obviously Baylor's upset. You don't think so?
Nobody.
So you would have put max 5 in the Big 12?
Yeah, okay. Max 5. Okay. Oklahoma 60 RPI. The only just the random blurb of a team that made it in that's down the RPI list is Michigan. UCSB is 51 RPI, and again they talked about we don't only look at RPI. Pitt is 50 RPI. Although their quad one wins, they're 17-12 in the quad one. 17-12 is a really good quad one record. So Georgia being snubbed was tough. I thought Georgia probably had a really good case, maybe even over a team like Alabama or LSU to make it in the NCAA tournament. They won a game against LSU in the SEC tournament this season. Baylor's right there. Dallas Baptist snuck in over Baylor. I just can't get over the fact that North Carolina, 47 RPI, Baylor 44. UC Santa Barbara, 51, Baylor 44. Michigan, 89. It's Michigan was the runner-up in the last College Baseball World Series championship.
So do you think brand has a lot to do with it? You think brand is what carried Michigan in?
I think that has a lot to do with
Michigan bump.
The fact that Michigan was 89 that they were the national runner-up in the last championship.
So correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like this year is sort of an outlier in terms of how they went about selecting teams. Like, it sounds like COVID was a factor. They didn't factor in RPI as much, clearly with Michigan being in. In a non-COVID season, does Baylor make it in?
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Really? Yeah. RPI factors in more, you think?
Yeah, okay. I think RPI may factor in a little bit more, which in this case, if RPI factors in more, Baylor is safe. If a team like Michigan's making it in, or a team like UCSB. Yeah. So, yes, you get Tyler Thomas and Blake Kelton. You don't have that random road. You don't have your COVID blurbs across the course of the season. Kansas State series, you had some COVID issues. You avoid those. Baylor was one of the fewer teams. Like, college baseball did a really good job with COVID this year. College baseball did, in the South especially.
But I'm saying, like, let's say the record stayed the same. So let's say Baylor still finishes poorly how they do, but the RPI is still strong, 44. Does Baylor have a different optic with the committee, do you think?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say no because you've got to factor in the committee may have factored in injuries a little bit more this year than they usually do, and in that case, then yes, you're looking at a Baylor team that probably doesn't make it. Baylor may not be on the bubble mode. Like, I know a lot of folks are reading my tweets and responding with like, oh, there's no way Baylor makes it in. Like, there's just no way that Baylor makes it in. Little do you know, Baylor's the first team that didn't make it in. Like, folks didn't even think they'd be on the bubble, and here they are as number 65 out of 64.
Yeah.
So, but I think in normal years, if you don't factor in injuries, you probably bump Baylor a little bit down. I think Baylor made a great case for themselves. They are in the number one team, number two conference in America. They're the number one team in batting average, the number two team in ERA. They are top two in their conference in batting average and ERA in the second best conference in the country. They finished this season at number 6 in the conference in the record, but their RPI stands at 44, which is fifth best in the conference. You've got 3 teams from the Big 12 that are top 8 seeds. You're telling me that in this conference, 3 of the teams that are in 3 teams are in the top 8, as in national powerhouses this season.
Yes.
What I'm trying to put together in my mind right now, Baylor against those teams this season, 3 and how many lost? 3 and 6.
Okay.
Against Texas, TCU, and Texas Tech.
Which in Texas Tech they dogged them.
They dogged
like
them.
It wasn't even close. Like, it was double-digit runs.
Right. So like Texas and TCU, you would expect, the top 5 RPI teams, those Texas and TCU, to beat Baylor.
Yeah.
Which they did. Are you going to slight Baylor? Because Baylor won the games they were supposed to win. We talked about it. Their quad 3, quad 4 victories, Baylor is 16-3 in quad 3 and quad 4 combined. In quad 2, they're 11-8. Games where Baylor's expected to win, they win. Quad 1 victories, 4-9.
Yeah.
They played a tough schedule. 4-9 quad 1 is not great, but 4-9 quad 1 in a league like the Big 12, I want to give you perspective on that.
Yeah.
Dallas Baptist plays Indiana State. Indiana State's a quad 1 win for Dallas Baptist. So there are different scales to me of quad 1 victories. Because you'd be like, yeah, you beat Liberty.
Sure.
You beat Campbell. You beat Nevada. That's a quad 1 win, right? RPI would say those wins are better than beating Florida State or Georgia or Arizona State or Virginia.
So in some sense, Baylor outperformed in the quad 1 because they won a whole series.
Right.
So in quad 1, they not only took care of what they wanted to do in quad 2, but they also overachieved in the quad 1 sense. So in a lot of ways, Baylor took care of business and then some, if you want to look at it that way. Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me why they're outside looking in right now.
So let me say this blatantly. When it comes to Baylor postseason right now, why Baylor should have made it in. Michigan had 1 quad 1 win. They played 3 quad 1 games this season, a strength of schedule of 140, and RPI of 89. Glenn Moore came on this show. And I know softball's a little bit different. Glenn Moore came on this show and he said, yeah, we're RPI 33. We feel like RPI 33 can't be snubbed. We feel like we're safe to make it in the tournament.
Yeah.
How about RPI 89? You shaking in your boots at all? You're RPI 89 and you get the call that you're in the tournament? How does that make any remote sense for Michigan to make it in?
Where did Michigan end up? Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
North Carolina. North Carolina played a great strength of schedule. Number 7 strength of schedule in the country. 47 RPI. Their record was 27-25. 27-25 this season for UNC. And they really, really struggled on the road. 6-14. They're not going to host. They're going to go on the road to play in a road series. They're quad 3. They're 3-2. That's a 600 win percentage in quad 3.
If Baylor was 65, do we know, I'm just putting you on the spot here, do we know where Michigan and North Carolina finished in terms of getting into the tournament? Were they 64 and 63?
So Baylor 65, UCSB 64, North Carolina 63, Michigan 62.
Oh, wow.
Alabama 61.
So they were even kind of comfortable. Based on those numbers, I'm thinking
they're ahead of UCSB. So I have those 2 points. Give me the UCSB argument. UCSB this season, quad 1, they're 2-9. Quad 4, they played 31 quad 4 games. A bulk of their schedule, most of their schedule, a vast majority, quad 3, quad 4. They played 11 quad 3 games, 31 quad 4 games. Their strength of schedule was 118. Their RPI was 51. They went 39-18. Put Baylor in their conference. UCSB, let's look at their schedule this season. Whoa! UC Davis, Hawaii, Cal State Northridge, UC San Diego, Cal Poly, UCLA, okay, unranked UCLA. They lost 2 out of 3 to them. UC Riverside, Cal State Bakersfield. And you're telling me out of that lineup, Pepperdine, that Baylor wouldn't go out there and win more than 39 games? I'm sorry, 39 games? It just doesn't make sense.
That's really tough.
Make it make sense to me, please.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you there. I don't have an answer for you.
Those three teams make no sense.
That's really tough to work out. Like UCSB, I get like as a whole did well in their conference. So it's like, do you penalize them for doing well in their conference? And it's like, I don't know. But also you look at Baylor, like, do you want to leave a good Baylor team out who has shown that they are, like you said, I think they're one of 3 teams to be top in batting and pitching in their conference, in the RPI. And like their company was Vanderbilt and someone else who was like a really reputable program. I forget who it was, but I mean, to be like an elite company, teams that are comfortably making the tournament, like that is something that I think you kind of have some good faith in, because they gave good faith to Michigan, right? Like the good faith was in Michigan's brand.
A lot of
seen
good
them
faith
do, like probably too much good faith.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the same thing you have to have for Baylor when it comes to like juxtaposing them with UCSB is, okay, who do you trust to like make more noise in the tournament? And my money would be, based on what we're like unpacking here statistically, Baylor, as opposed to a UCSB program who has shown can't really hang with an unranked UCLA team.
I don't get it. 8 teams in the ACC, a worse conference than the Big 12. Over half the teams in the ACC make it in. 9 SEC teams make sense. There's just a bunch of freaking good SEC teams.
Okay.
8,
also a big conference.
Over half the ACC making it in is wild. Whereas less than half, 40% of the Big 12 makes it in. That just doesn't make sense to me. The second best conference in America.
If there's 8 in the ACC, there should be at least 5 or 6 from the Big 12.
Yeah.
I'm confused by that.
5's reasonable. Oklahoma being snubbed is okay. Oklahoma should have made it in over Michigan. You know who should have made it in over Michigan?
Oklahoma.
Texas A&M. And they just fired their coach. Like, that makes no sense. It makes no sense. UTSA, UCF, Tulane, Southern Illinois, West Virginia, Kansas.
How much of this is auto bids? Like, I know there's probably auto bids as it is for the NCAA tournament with basketball. So 31. 31. Okay, 31 so it's all if you win your conference you're in.
Yep.
So I'm assuming those smaller schools, like, okay, this is your Cinderella-esque moment, like similar to March Madness. Like, you won your conference, so you punch your ticket. Which in some ways I'm like, okay, cool, great. But when you look at the at-large teams that are left out, it's like, well, they have a spot that you really should have looking at the numbers here. Like, I get that you did what you're supposed to do, but I just think that's the part about college sports, which is kind of a head scratcher. It's like, yes, it's good for the parity, but is it really good for like the competitive nature of, okay, we want to have the best teams in this tournament? That's where you run into problems, I think.
I'm looking right here. Fairfield made it in as an at-large out of the MAAC. You know what's crazy?
No.
Frickin' Fairfield. If Fairfield wins their conference, if Liberty wins their conference, both those teams were upset. Those are one bid leagues.
Okay.
Both those teams were upset in their conference tournaments. If they win their conference tournaments, they're in. And rather than being in as an at-large, they're in as an automatic.
Right.
Someone else in their conference got automatic. Fairfield was an at-large. Fairfield's record this season, 37-3. Nuts! Fairfield! They started the season like 31-0, right? 131 strength of schedule. No quad 1 games. Not much less quad 1 wins.
I haven't even heard of Fairfield.
No quad 1 games this season. They played 30 of their 40 games at home. Nice.
Okay.
I would have loved to have done that for Baylor.
Okay.
They played 16 quad 2 games. They were 14-2. 4-0 in quad 3. 20 of their games came in the quad 4. 0 quad 1 wins. 0 quad 1 games. Number 3 in the year in RPI. Just because they won 37 games.
Dude, but 37-3 is ripping. Like, I don't think you leave out Fairfield being 37-3. Like, if you're like
out of the MAAC,
37, dude, you're ripping your 37.
Canisius, Iona, Quinnipiac, Ryder.
I'm with you.
Monmouth.
I'm with you. Like, the way it's set up, probably wrong, but the way it's set up right now with auto bids, like 37-3, you're killing it. How do you tell those guys that have lost 3 games, hey, you can't play for the tournament?
You lost your conference tournament. That's part of the auto bid deal. That's part of going to being an auto bid. They also, God bless, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They played 7 games in the MAAC tournament. They played 2 quarterfinal games. Then they played games 1 through 6. Wow, that's a lot. Yeah, they lost to Ryder. Ryder got punched their ticket on top of them. That just makes no sense.
I don't understand it.
That just makes no sense.
I don't understand it.
254-339-1122 calls for your thoughts on the NCAA tournament. Look at the rest of the field. Other highlights and things to mention. You've got Texas, TCU. Texas is number 2 seed overall in the country. Texas, the 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. Did anything in there that surprised you necessarily about the Big 12?
I think just the fact that we didn't have more teams in. Like, that I think is kind of the head scratcher, especially when you juxtapose that with the ACC having 8. Like, that really makes no sense. I'm not so upset with the teams that made it in from the Big 12, but it's like when you look at someone else's plate and say, hey, we had this many teams in, it's like, well, y'all are horrific RPI. Like, y'all don't have the numbers that the Big 12 has. Why is that, like, a sliding scale, and why is that, like, the way that it is in terms of how many teams you're letting in? That seems very backwards to me. But in terms of teams that got in, I wasn't like, wow, did they deserve to be in? Probably not.
I'm looking at the bracket right now. So the number 1 seed overall, Arkansas. I did not know very much about their stats this season or kind of their number line. 46-10, which is stupid.
Right.
Like, that's just a stupid number in the SEC especially. Do you know where they rank strength of schedule this season?
I would assume high if they're number 1 RPI in the SEC. I'm going to say they are 3.
Number 1.
Really? Okay.
They have the hardest schedule in the country. They went 46-10 this year. That's unbelievable. That's stupid dominant. They quad 1. They're 27-7 quad 1.
That's depth.
They're the only team in the country with 20 or more wins in quad 1.
Dude, 56 games too.
Yeah.
56 games. That's a lot of baseball.
56
That's
games.
a lot of baseball.
6-1 in quad 2, 5-1 quad 3, 8-0 in quad 4. They have been the number 1 team for 14 straight weeks, which is it's the first time since like 68 that's happened in the NCAA.
Jeez.
They are the Monstars of college baseball this season.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. And I was kind of like, I remember hearing that, and me and A-Rob were kind of like razzing, like, all right, are they really the Monstars? It's baseball. And you're like, no. They are really good. And so hearing back that, I'm like, yeah, they might just run things. So how much parity is there in the NCAA tournament, though, when it comes to baseball?
So much parity.
Okay, so we're not thinking that Arkansas is going to run away with it.
Since 2000, the number 1 overall seed, since 2002, the number 1 overall seed going into the NCAA tournament has won it 1 time.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Okay.
So if you're Arkansas, you're a little scared right now.
Yeah.
You're super scared.
Do you even want to be Arkansas in
No,
this
those guys are
situation?
shaking in their boots.
Sounds like Texas got a pretty lucky 2 seed.
I bet you all the Arkansas players right now hate their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Target on their back.
Big old target. Woo pig.
They do have Nebraska in their regional. That's interesting to me. Nebraska's their 2 seed. Nebraska outright won the Big Ten.
Yeah.
You have an outright conference champion.
With the RPI is like pretty low there, right?
Yeah, with the RPI they're like 48. It's like, okay, sweet.
Quick work for Arkansas.
Yeah, but then they also had a couple other teams. The Big Ten should have been a 1-bid league.
How many got in from the Big Ten? Do we know?
3.
3? Okay. See, you're an almanac for these things. Because I'm like, I could Google these, but I'm like, I'll just ask Drake because he knows, which is great. So thanks for
human dictionary.
Yeah. So thanks for that.
Yeah,
but
it's just
okay, so only 3 teams from the Big Ten.
Yeah, 3 teams.
Okay.
I see you say only. It's Michigan, Indiana, and Nebraska.
And you know how we feel about Michigan.
How did ACC have 8 teams?
I have no idea.
How did they get 8 teams?
How did the Big 12 only get 4? How did the Big 12 get half of the ACC? Granted, there's less
4
teams.
for now. That my head right now has gone all the way to who can we give COVID to?
Well, you have 27 minutes.
Oh, that's it?
It's a 24-hour period, and we're 27 minutes until the 24-hour
we will know
period's
live if Baylor's in or out of the tournament.
There's enough time. Also, I guess they'll probably, because when does the tournament actually start? Like, when do you have to be there, probably?
That's a great question.
Very soon.
Very soon.
Most teams are getting on a plane today or tomorrow.
So, like, if you find out, okay, hey, Team X tested positive for COVID, Baylor, you're in. You're like, oh shoot, you got to wash the jerseys. Like,
Andy Thomas deletes the tweet.
Andy Thomas, never mind. That's a lot.
If a team has COVID, we will know in the next 26 minutes. That'll be huge.
We'll know on up tempo.
I would hate for that to happen to somebody. I would hate for that to happen.
Absolutely hate for that to happen.
I want it.
Oh,
I want it. Let's go. Put the Bears in, baby.
Not sure
Get them on a plane.
Not sure if we can say that.
Get them on a plane.
Number 2 seed in the country this year is Texas, 3 Tennessee, 4 Vanderbilt, 5 Arizona, 6 TCU. So Texas at number 2. They got Arizona State coming to town as a 2 seed. That's dangerous. Fairfield is their 3 seed up top. Fairfield.
I like
Fairfield.
I'm going with Fairfield, baby.
Fairfield. And then Southern is their 4 seed. Southern upset in their conference tournament to go to the NCAA tournament. Pretty good little Cinderella story. Okay. Then you got Texas Christian, old TCU at number 6 in the country. Oregon State is in their regional. Oregon State went to the national championship and won it a couple of years ago.
Remember that.
Dallas Baptist is also there. Dallas Baptist is always cold at baseball. I don't think TCU is getting out of the Fort Worth regional.
Really? Okay.
McNeese State is in there too. McNeese State, Southland Conference, meh.
They're not good. Let's see. I saw they played Bama not too long ago. Let's see how they did against Bama.
McNeese State baseball played Alabama.
Maybe they're in their.
Maybe that was basketball.
I'm tripping.
How many of the Big 12 teams are hosting this? Like
3. 3 of the 4 Big 12 teams that made it in are hosting.
I mean.
And
you think that Baylor would be in this?
Yeah, the league said the conference is that good, but also Baylor, you're not in. Sorry that you did well in your conference and won a series at Texas Tech, the number 8 overall team seed in the country. Sorry, you took a game from Texas.
Is there a McNeese and a McNeese State?
No.
Okay, so they have them listed as McNeese. They opened the season with Bama. Bama swept them.
Yeah.
Closest game was 4-3, to be fair.
Hey,
but
it's a game.
Yeah, they got
nice.
swept.
Well, McNeese is the 4 in Fort Worth. Oregon State and Dallas Baptist are going to give TCU a run for their money. 8 seed Texas Tech from the Big 12. UCLA is the 2 seed in their region. UCLA is not that strong this year. North Carolina is their 3 seed. Army is their 4. Army might be the best freaking team there except for Texas Tech.
There we go, Army. Here you go now.
Army might be the best team that's not Texas Tech.
Memorial Day was yesterday, man. We love the troops. There we go.
Go Army.
Dude, I hope Army wins the whole freaking thing. Army and Fairfield and Natty.
I was actually just going to ask you, because Drake has Arkansas. You know, we're the casual baseball fan, college-wise.
Yeah.
Who are we going to pull for?
I think you got to pull for Big 12, right? Like, would you agree that's probably like the appropriate thing to do is
no.
is like
I don't
pull
want Texas
for Texas Tech
or TCU to win, because then we're going to hear it. You know?
I'll pull for Texas Tech for Baylor's sake, because then you can say, wow, we took the national champions in a series.
Smart. Okay, I like that.
What do you think about that?
Good spin zone.
We're on board with that.
I like Jeff Haxton, the voice of Texas Tech. Jeff Haxton's a good friend of the show.
He came on, didn't he?
So, yeah, a couple times.
Heck yeah.
And then, of course, you can't forget Oklahoma State, who is also in the tournament this season. They got a shot to maybe make a little bit of noise. I actually like their pairing with Arizona and Tucson. Oklahoma State, the 2 seed at number 5, Arizona. UC Santa Barbara is the 3 seed there. That's probably where Baylor would have gone. And then flip Oklahoma State to a different region. Grand Canyon for Molly Miller.
There it is.
Not the head coach of the baseball team.
Not yet.
She
might be up for that job, though, if they don't make a run in the tourney.
And so that's the field. Oklahoma State. I like Oklahoma State's odds over in Tucson. That ballpark plays well to hitters. Oklahoma State's got great pitching. They can get that offense in Tucson ready to rock. Oklahoma State's got a good shot to make some noise. We got G-Dub on the call. Well, G-Dub, we dropped you. We dropped G-Dub. We'll hit a break, though. We'll come back, try to get him back on.
Beautiful.
I'm Drake Toll. We got J.D. PicKell, Armstrong Sims, Andrew Robertson, and Marquise Cooley. Jack McKenzie is also running some stuff in the background. We're going to be talking a little bit more Jared Butler, Matthew Meyer. Where are those guys going to go? We got a Jared Butler declaration over the weekend. We're going to talk about that up next. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
Pay over qualified buyer with $4,000 down at 2.9%. TTNL Extra. See deal for details.
Travel is back, and so are the savings of the Memorial Day Savings Event at Richard Carr. Save $5,900 on 2021 Buick Encore. Drive off in the affordable luxury of a Buick Encore for as little as $258 a month. Or vacation in the spacious comfort of a 3-row Buick Enclave and save $8,500. 100% credit approval is always our goal. It's the Memorial Day Savings Event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Sit down, Bob. I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy.
Now, back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll and J.D. PicKell for the Blonde Boys Power Hour.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Drake Toll alongside J.D. PicKell, Armstrong Sims, Andrew Robertson, Marquise Cooley, Jack McKenzie. It is an alphabet soup of folks that we got in the studio today. Rocking and rolling inside your 11 o'clock hour. Nearing noon today. Big news across college athletics over the weekend. The Baylor Bears, SNUBBED, snubbed from the NCAA tournament. The number 65 team and 64 teams make it in. Michigan, RPI 89, made it into the NCAA tournament over Baylor, RPI 44.
I was trying to figure out what you were spelling there. I couldn't spell it. I was like, I hope he tells us what he's spelling because I can't. I
hope
read.
he gives us a hint.
I can't read.
Just slow it down a little bit.
Language of origin.
There's a barrier there.
Could use it in a sentence.
There's a barrier there.
Yeah.
So we've got, so bad. Flipping Baylor, man. I know I was the one guy, too, that exists in the realm of the universe that was like, this is it. They're getting in. I feel it. They're getting in. I'm going to get all your hopes up. Just get ready. And then everybody else was like, nope, there's no way. They're not even close.
Yeah. Even Rod.
D1 baseball, everybody came out and they were like, hey, here's our last 5 in. Here's our last 4 in. Here's our last what? Here's our last 5 out. Nothing. Nobody had Baylor on the bubble. But I said, listen, hear me out.
They were on the bubble. They were pretty squarely on the bubble.
But
right?
No.
Yeah, they were.
Not by the time we got to the end of this. By the time the conference tournaments wrapped up, D1Baseball.com, Baseball America, all of them had wiped them clean. CWS 24/7 wiped them clean from their bubble conversation. Said Baylor is squarely out. We're not even talking about Baylor.
Interesting. I
And
wonder why that is.
Lo and behold, because Baylor was not very good to end the season.
Neither was Alabama.
Bluntly. Yeah, neither was Alabama.
Alabama's worse, arguably.
Seems like Michigan wasn't good the entire season.
Yeah, Michigan wasn't good at all. Ever. Their best win was 21 Indiana. Woo! At home.
What was Baylor's best win?
Baylor's best.
Number 2 team in the tournament,
Texas
right?
Tech, right?
Yeah.
Or Texas.
One of the and they played the top 3 teams in the top 8, right?
Very
like
weird.
that's pretty intense. That's something you got to take a little closer look at.
Can we start the narrative that the committee just hates Baylor? Because I think they do.
That's the narrative.
Mr.
Right now.
Mr. TV Dinner just doesn't like Baylor.
Armstrong, will you play the Alabama clip again, please? The commissioner clip. I'm sorry, I know I kind of threw you on the spot right there.
Chicago Gump.
That was mean of me.
With Alabama, it just really was. We wanted to make sure that their strength of schedule was very strong, and. I think that was pretty much it. I mean, just Alabama's strength of schedule and a very strong conference made them a selection for us.
Oh, my gosh.
Jeff Altier, select.
That was Jeff, the selection committee chairman. Somebody one day was like, hey, we got to hire a new selection committee chairman. Who should we get? I don't know, but Jeff's the athletic director at Stetson. He could probably help you out.
He can't talk real good. He doesn't really talk to people much, but he'd do a fine job for you there. He'll get you down there.
You can't put him on camera.
He'll get you set all right down there. He does a good job with papers and such, and he loves strength of schedule.
He's a big Michigan fan.
He reminds me so much. Have you seen that YouTube video of the kid who's like, do you ever dream that you and then maybe you.
Armstrong, we play it again. I
just sent that video to our up-tempo bros.
With Alabama, it just really was. We wanted to make sure that their strength of schedule was very strong, and I think that was pretty much it. I mean, just Alabama's strength of schedule and a very strong conference made them a selection for.
That hair is 0% real. Hair is 0% real on his head right now.
I love the fact that he does a 360 pan. He does a up. He looks up for inspiration, down in desperation, to his left and right for information.
Like somebody, wow, is that off the dome?
Yeah, no,
that
was like
good.
My 6th grade teacher used to say
really?
that.
Okay, I was like, I'm gonna steal that. I like that a lot, dude. Yeah, he's out to lunch.
He
bro.
said,
he's out to
Jeff,
lunch.
what do you think about Alabama making the tournament? I did not know you would ask me that question.
Didn't think what was gonna be about.
Jeff, they're one of the last 4 teams in. What do you know about them? But good. Alabama good. Other teams bad. Like what?
The optics are so bad.
You're the commissioner.
How do you back up your statement
optics
with
are so
they had
bad.
a great conference and then put 4 of 10 teams in the second best contract?
12. That's like literally, you stick this guy in front of the camera. It's like he didn't know. It's like 6 minutes before go time. Jeff, you're on.
Come on, what is this?
National television.
I feel horrible right now. What's going on?
That's not the real commissioner.
I just put my hair on.
They bred him. He's some kind of clone. In the back of ESPN, they were like, "This is go."
Get him a suit. Get him some glasses. Get him some papers, and tell him strength of schedule. Get him on 1 and 5.
Well, they're gonna know he's not the commissioner. Just tell him he's the athletic director at Stetson. No one's going to question it.
Chicago Gump's gonna make a tweet.
Chicago Gump.
Put it out
Chicago
there.
Gump.
Like that was the question: hey, so why Alabama? And of course, the rest of us are like, oh, they could do this and this and this, and then he's like, but schedule
He's never
hard.
coming on the show, is he? He's never going to come on the show.
Never coming on this show.
Have you ever had a dream that you want.
With
That's
Alabama,
him all grown up.
it just really was. We wanted to make sure that their strength of schedule was very strong, and I think that was pretty much it. I mean, just Alabama's strength of schedule and a very strong conference.
Have you ever had a dream that you
with Alabama, it just really was. We wanted to make sure that they were.
Do you feel old yet? That's the same person.
That's the
same guy.
He said,
really
there's a
bad.
point where he's like, paper flip. TJ, there are no papers. Yeah, there are no papers in his hand.
He's looking through it to see if he can find something.
He goes into real, he stops for a second and then he goes into real panic mode when he starts flipping the papers. He's like, I need information. Give me something.
This paper's just written Alabama. Hard schedule. That's just all it says
Hard
on the
schedule,
very front.
Conference hard.
Tough. Conference tough.
That's so bad. He went full full fight or flight mode and just
You chose neither of them.
and just was like, I'm actually just gonna say that's it. That's it. We're done, right?
Can I go home now? Can I go?
deal.
Please don't ask me about UCSB. Imagine hey, so UCSB made it in.
He's like, we don't have USBs here.
Yeah,
I don't even have a USB for you.
They play baseball. Yeah, Jeff, what?
Sorry,
I'm telling
Jeff.
you. They drafted him. They're like, listen, just tell him that he's the athletic director at Stetson. No one can corroborate that. Stetson doesn't exist. It's a hat brand.
Stetson actually, I only know Stetson because they would play teams in our conference, but Stetson is probably not the brand you want to have behind.
He was probably at
the
those
person you
games.
Put on there. Probably not.
He can be impartial though, because does Stetson even have a baseball team? Probably not.
See, I don't
there
know.
You go.
I've never seen him play.
Right.
I don't know.
I've never seen him play.
Jeez. T-Rex is on the caller line here. Hey, T-Rex, what's going on? Oh, T-Rex, we dropped. I'm sorry about that, T-Rex. I don't know what happened there, but that's it. Yeah. Can we? Will you get the commissioner video on Twitter? That would behoove. That would make me so happy.
Are we
T-Rex,
calling him?
Call us back. Did you call him?
I love when we call people.
Yeah, calling people is always. I can. Are we back open? Can I call him?
We could call him.
Yeah, we can call him. We can take that next step. That was his 150th call, by the way.
Do we break the fourth wall?
Yeah, I don't know if we can break. That would be the fourth wall. Wow. Jared Butler declaring for the NBA draft. So I was wrong.
I was pleasantly surprised.
What were you wrong about?
I was wrong. I said that there's a really good chance Jared Butler comes back, and it was like May 23rd. I was like, this show 150.
Alabama.
Is that Baylor Bigfoot?
This is Baylor Littlefoot.
Yes, T-Rex, the dinosaur.
Bigfoot Jr.
This is the new commissioner of the College World Misinformation Need Help Bail Me Out series.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You and Jeff are both the commissioner. You are dual commissioners of the I Need Help, Please Get Me Out College Commission.
Yeah, you might have to share that title, but I am glad you're calling. With so much on your plate.
That commissioner, he could really, he could be a straight up great Big 12 commissioner because he just fits the role perfectly. Then neither of them do anything or know anything. So I feel like, hey, I bet he would be a lot cheaper than Bowlesley too.
And he would slight Baylor. They both slight Baylor for the heck of it. So that probably bodes well for him. Sorry, God.
Man, all right. How are y'all doing today? I appreciate y'all calling me back.
Yeah,
Man,
JD.
Glad to have you on,
JD
boss.
just got back from Jamaica. Jared Butler declared for the draft. Track's got like 22 athletes going to nationals. And baseball got snubbed. I mean, baseball just got snubbed.
Hey, well, props to Track, props to JD. Still looks just as white as he was before he went to Jamaica. Didn't get enough sun. Anything over SPF 5, you're not going to get a tan.
There you go.
So. But you look like a man who might need some SPF.
Hey, you're not wrong.
That might be Drake. I'm not sure.
Need SPF, TLC, all that.
But congrats to everybody that going to nationals, all that. Baseball team, hey man. As much as I wanted to see him in, you got to control your own destiny. And that's, that at the end of the day, you can't leave it up to a bunch of quote unquote baseball experts interpreting stats and making arbitrary decisions. You got to control your own destiny. Yes, there's teams that had worse RPI, Michigan, the whole argument, we're not going to use RPI because the conference didn't play non-conference or whatever, that's ridiculous. But at the end of the day, we don't have the brand, so we have to control our own destiny. I think Michigan got in because it's Michigan. I think we can all agree it's a brand thing. I don't know what Michigan baseball means. I don't follow baseball, right? So I don't know if Michigan's some powerhouse in baseball and their brand is just baseball got them in or just the brand is Michigan got them in. But same thing with Alabama. It's Alabama. They got the brand. They're SEC. Ridiculous comment. That guy, commissioner, an idiot. But we don't have the consistent brand, in my opinion, of a baseball powerhouse. So we have to control our own destiny. We had opportunities to get ourselves off the bubble and be 100% in to the playoffs, and we didn't take care of business at the end of the season. We didn't take care of business to start the season either, but we had an entire season to fix that issue. And it looked like at times we did. Who knows what happened at the end, injuries, COVID, whatever. You got to control your own destiny. And it's just something that we didn't take care of. So at the end of the day, we can be upset about this or that, but we really, truly can only be mad at ourselves.
T-Rex, I'm honestly for brands, especially in a COVID year where you have so much less to go off of with players being, injured and protocol and all those things. But my biggest bone that I have to pick is the fact that Alabama finished the season arguably worse than Baylor did. I get there's the brand, I get there's the RPI, but when you look across the board and say, okay, Baylor dropped 7 of the last 10, Bama dropped 10 of their last 12. Like, they not only limped, they crawled out of their regular season. Like, that to me feels like you should at least take another look at that and maybe put Bama under the microscope a little bit more than you are. Because strength of schedule is important, but not when you're just losing the rest of your schedule. Like, losing the last of your schedule, I think, has a lot that you need to take a look at.
Yeah, we're having a little connection issue here, so I'm having a little hard time hearing y'all, but I think I got the gist of it there.
Basically, what he said, T-Rex, is Alabama, good baseball. That was kind of the gist.
Not me, per se.
Not him.
Not I.
But that's probably all that T-Rex heard.
I get
that's
it,
all we got today.
I get it, 100%. I think when you look at all things considered, you look at the record, you look at the RPI, everything, you look at just pure facts and stats in front of you, because stats don't lie. Film doesn't lie, right? When you look at all that, we got snubbed. There's teams that got in over us that arguably should not have. But again, like I said, we're not having this conversation if the team took care of business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. T-Rex, Bear Games question.
That's something that Baylor fans have a hard time across any sport. I think that's something that Baylor fans, and probably all college fans, because it's a very emotional connection, I think that's something that we have a hard time, just as humans even, accepting that you have to take care of your own business. You can't depend on a committee. Baylor fans should know, if you were around in 2014, don't lose that football game to a team that we should have beat and we're in the playoff picture.
Yeah.
In 2014. Same thing here. We got to win the games that we got to win, that we should have won. You got to take care of your own, destiny. And I will die on that hill. And I think everyone would agree you have to take care of your own destiny. But hey, it's Tuesday. We didn't get a Monday to be mad about anything, so we got to be mad about baseball against snub. I respect the team. I'm so happy those guys like Andy came back. They took advantage of the extra year. It sucks that they didn't get in and that they got snubbed. But at the end of the day, we did not take care of business.
Mm-hmm. Wow. T-Rex, Bear Games question of the day. Which team is the one team that you hate to see win? Like, I can't stand seeing Ole Miss win in anything. It's one of my least favorite things in college sports to see Ole Miss win. That, there's the one team that's just the bane of my existence. Which one is yours?
I can't stand seeing Iowa State win in anything except baseball. I love when Iowa State wins in baseball.
Yeah, they're pretty good at baseball.
If Iowa State had a baseball team, Baylor would be in right now because that's 3 more wins.
They've never lost.
Iowa State's been undefeated since 2003 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Streak continues, man.
Streak continues. Hey, T-Rex, thanks for your call.
Sick 'em Bears.
Sick 'em.
I got Steven on the call line here. Hey, Steven. Steven's in the beach this week, if I understand correctly. Steven, we only got about 2 or 3 minutes right here, but what's going on?
Hey, guys, I know we're all talking about this baseball a little bit. I feel like I know a little bit more about baseball than, other sports. I feel like I really agree with a lot of what T-Rex said. The first thing I want to start with is the Big Ten did not play non-conference games, and they didn't do it in football either, and it didn't make a darn bit of difference.
Nope, we're rewarding them for it, actually.
Playoffs. And we're talking about the Big Ten played less games than everybody in football, and Ohio State was still the number 2 overall seed, I think, in football. So the fact that they did it with baseball is really this, like T-Rex said, you should have seen this coming. I hate that this is how it's done, and I think I told y'all this is part of the reason why I don't feel like a Baylor will ever make a 4-team playoff. We're going to have to get to a point where automatic bids are a thing. And it really comes down to the fact that, I said this a couple weeks ago, I believe the Pac-12 and the Big 12 are treated differently than the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 10.
Yeah.
And, Baylor baseball had a great year, and the last thing I want to say before I ask y'all this question is, T-Rex is right. We should have won our games, and we really stalled out. I mean, we were really, really hot, really playing good ball, and we stalled out. And it was just the wrong time to stall out. And look, the last couple weeks of the year is the worst time to go into a slump. No matter what sport you're playing in. You know, you lose your last couple of football games, the bowl game's usually not going to go good for you. You lose your last couple basketball games, you look bad down the stretch, you usually lose in the first round of the tournament. It's just the kind of way it happens. It's real disappointing, but I have faith in the program. I like Steve Rodriguez, but now I'm going to ask y'all. A couple weeks ago, we started talking about, do we feel like Steve Rodriguez is here? And, you know, y'all had talked with Max, and Max had said y'all had seemed to have doubts, and y'all did not have doubts when we were feeling like we were in the tournament. So where are y'all on with that now?
My thing is, it's the first time they've missed the tournament since his first season. So in terms of how you build your roster in baseball, from what I understand, it's a game of depth, right? With how many games you play and how much you're able to, you know, sustain the long season. So in that sense, I think it's probably a longer term hire. I think you give him more time than you would, say, a football coach or maybe even a basketball coach, because it takes so long to get all your guys in. So for that reason, I'm still in on Coach Rod. I think that you give him more time. I don't think he's necessarily done a lot to tell you that he's not the guy for the job. So I'm in on Coach Rod for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I agree. I think Rod has done this year was a prove-it year for Rod, and I think they should have made the tournament down the stretch. There are so many things you can point to say they did get snubbed. Like, I know people are like, well, they control their destiny, and I get it. That's a great argument. T-Rex makes some great points, but they got snubbed. And you know, I don't think that's Coach Rod's fault. I think he proved this year that in a year they weren't supposed to be very good, that they could be much better and exceed expectations, and that was big. But we got to get out of here really quickly, Steven. Got to go to Bryce Cherry at 12:05. I want to know from you the one team that you hate to see win.
I'm not a big fan of seeing Texas or Texas A&M win anything ever.
Yeah.
TCU is probably on that list too. But Texas Tech is not, because we shouldn't concern ourselves with the peasants.
No.
I'll catch you later, guys.
See you, Steven.
Man, Steve.
Have a fun week at the beach. Things at the beach. Do we have a Music Monday today? No? Perfect. Perfect, because we run out of time. Tomorrow we'll get to more of the Jared Butler talk and still recapping some baseball.
Love it.
Bryce Cherry, the Waco Trib Baylor baseball beat writer, joins the show here in just a second to talk baseball and Baylor being kept from the field of 64. Robbery, man.
Highway robbery. A roddery, if you will.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Alabama schedule strength.
Terrifying.
Wow.
Terrifying that he has so much control.
Terrifying. They gave him a microphone. This is the guy. Like, they should have. You know, you ever seen the Barack Obama translator? It's Keegan-Michael Key. And he does the speech translation.
Yeah.
That guy needs one of those. What I'm trying to say is Alabama's good at baseball.
He might just need a normal translator to make sense of what he's trying to articulate, because a lot of that wasn't coherent.
Oh, this guy. That is good. That is good. Hey, the first hour of SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo is brought to you by Manson Business Services, owned by Baylor grad and SicEm365 premium member Jonathan Green. Banson Business Services offers a full suite of business support and financial services. Banson specializes in bookkeeping, payroll, outsourced CFO services, and consulting. They can help you with your taxes. Their business helps you run your business. Visit SicEm365.com/Banson, B-A-N-C-I-N. For more information. Drake Toll, J.D. PicKell, Armstrong Sims, Jack McKenzie, Marquise Cooley, Andrew Robertson, all in stew today. We come back. Baylor baseball coverage. It doesn't really get better than Bryce Cherry. He joins our show. Bryce Cherry, coming up after this break. Don't go anywhere. This is Up-Tempo.
The NCAA baseball field of 64 is in, and Baylor is out. The Bears did not see their name called during Monday night's selection show during the unveiling of the bracket, but they did see their name immediately after as the first team out of the NCAA tournament. With COVID changing this year's procedure, the team could still make the NCAA tournament if another squad is unable to make their regional due to COVID issues. This must take place within 24 hours of the selection show that ended at 12. Teams such as Michigan, Maryland, and North Carolina all found their way over Baylor, despite having lower RPIs and seemingly worse resumes. This is the first time since Steve Rodriguez's first year at Baylor that the team has not made the big dance. Elsewhere in the conference, 4 teams punched tickets, with 3 being national seeds. Texas landed the number 2 seed and will host a regional, along with 6th national seed TCU and 8th national seed Texas Tech. Oklahoma State also made the field as a 2 seed in the Tucson, Arizona regional. In track, Baylor punched an additional 18 tickets to the NCAA championships in Eugene, Oregon, with a stellar performance in Saturday's West Regional in College Station. Names such as Akira Nugent, Alex Madlock, Aaliyah Miller, Camden Jackson, and Howard Fields. And Howard Fields III highlight the Baylor's qualifiers, along with the men's and women's 4x4 teams. Elsewhere, a new bill presented would allow college athletes to form unions. A study has shown that athletes see higher post-COVID heart risk. Buffalo's athletic director, Mark Allnut, has signed a 5-year contract extension. Not sure why we care. And John Calipari is waiting on a pivotal ruling on the eligibility of transfers before he will know who will play next year. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. It's been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Allen Samuels is celebrating Memorial Day with the all-new Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid Limited with up to $6,000 in values or 0% for 72 months. The 2021 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid Limited has exceptional and efficient hybrid gas range for local driving or extended excursions. Come to the Memorial Day sales event at Allen Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer. The best place to see this amazing vehicle. Located at 201 West Loop 340, Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental. Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma. And they have to come here. They're used to lights. They're used to water in their mouth. They're used to experience. They already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8-year-old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way. I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll and J.D. PicKell for the Blonde Boys Power Hour.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Tuesday, everybody. J.D. PicKell has stepped out for the hour. Drake Toll joined by Armstrong Sims, Marquise Cooley, Andrew Robertson, and Jack McKenzie. And now on the show with us, the Baylor baseball beat writer for the Waco Tribune-Herald, Bryce Cherry. Bryce, a day late and $1 short. Always the bridesmaid, never the groom. I don't know, something like that. Man, just right there on the cusp. Thank you again for joining the show today. And I tell you what, Baylor baseball was right there.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about being essentially the 65th team overall, first one out. We've seen over the years in different sports where Baylor it's come right down to the wire occasionally. I think in Scott Drew's first year of making the NCAA tournament, I want to say they were the last team that popped up on the bracket. So that's never a good feeling. It's a good feeling when you make it in, but obviously for Baylor baseball, that wasn't the case. And I think it really just came down to the end of the season. They go 3-7 in their last 10 games, lose their last 2 series, to Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, including the Sooners at home. And then you drop 2 at the Big 12 tournament. And so you haven't done yourself any favors down the stretch. Now, there are still some teams that got in that had lower RPIs and some of those are head scratchers.
Bryce, with that, we've been looking on the show today at UCSB, RPI 51, North Carolina, RPI 47, and Michigan, RPI 89, 1 quad 1 win, just 3 quad 1 games all season long, strength of schedule of 140. I mean, I'm putting that together. If you're a committee and that's the resume that you're the Waco Tribune-Herald, and someone lays down that resume, are you hiring them to a job?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I agree with you that it's a head scratcher. I mean, I think the thing that I guess the committee looked at with the teams like North Carolina, Michigan, and even Florida State had a lower RPI, 1 spot below Baylor. They were 45th. So, I was looking at all these teams. Well, what do they have in common? Well, they all did have winning conference records. And Baylor obviously came up just a little bit short on that, 11-13. And to me, you look at this, I think Baylor's kicking itself basically going, if we'd had one more win, it could have been that last game against Oklahoma. If you win one of those in Oklahoma City, the Kansas State one, I'm sure they're kicking themselves about because, you had a 3-0 lead and Hayden Kettler's pitching great. And you had that day, you had your better veteran bullpen guys, all lined up to pitch. You come in with Jimmy Winston, you come in with Lekich and Luke Boyd. And, give it to K-State. That's a team that got hot late in the year, and they can really hit the ball. And they did that day. And Baylor just couldn't stop the avalanche, basically. And so you just have to wonder for Baylor if 1 or 2 more wins would have gotten them in the field.
Bryce, we said it earlier on the show, we blamed this on Iowa State. If Iowa State has a baseball team, that's 3 more wins for Baylor. They're in securely. So we're gonna get our friends in Ames on the horn for this one. But I'm looking at strength of conference too here. Big 12 being number 2 RPI right now, 3 national seeds in. I've heard this thrown around a little bit. Does this show some disrespect to the Big 12 that got respect on the top half and not a lot on the bottom half?
It's very puzzling, to say the least. If, as you said, if you get 3 national seeds, 3 teams that are in the top 8 in the country, you feel like you should have a conference that gets more than 4 overall. And, Oklahoma State didn't really get a ton of respect in terms of getting sent to the number 5 overall seed in Arizona. So, yeah, I mean, I thought at least 5, we're going to get in. And I did think that the way K-State finished, that the Wildcats may, kind of sneak up there and basically steal Baylor's bid. That wasn't the case. Neither Baylor nor K-State got in. And, like I said, with Baylor, I think it just comes down to the way it finished. And it's unfortunate for the Bears because obviously there were some circumstances there that worked against them in COVID and injuries, that kind of thing. You'd like to have seen what they might have done with Tyler Thomas, still pitching down the stretch. He was their best starter all year long. And, it was an interesting team in that I felt like they kind of patched it together pitching wise over the course of the year. I thought the bullpen was solid throughout the year. Maybe down the stretch you could criticize them a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I thought Blake Helton was kind of a guy that really found himself this year, and the Texas Tech series was where it really all turned around for him because that was a game that I was thinking, oh man, that's a tough matchup for Blake Helton, and he pitched great, and they end up getting the series win. Baylor did have some good, quad 1 wins, and so again, I think absolutely they have a beef over Michigan because, you did beat the Longhorns in 1 game. You took 2 of 3 at Lubbock, and you had a win over Auburn, too, in Round Rock. So, Baylor certainly has a beef, but I think they also understand that they should have finished better.
Bryce, when it comes to the way this committee constructed the field, and I know you've seen a lot of these fields of 64 in the past, and you can start to pick out patterns of how committees are going to put teams in. This year, one of the things that I saw was, like you said, teams that are hot late. What have you done for me lately? Teams that are winning. I think you'll get an Alabama that lost 10 out of the last 12, or a Michigan that went 4-6 in their last 10. Does it feel like there is any pattern to you of those bubble teams that made it in that really gave them the nod over a Baylor?
I think in Alabama's case, it probably was a better RPI. The Tide, I think, came in about 33 there. And, I believe you get the SEC factor in there a little bit. The SEC is viewed as the top RPI conference now. The Big 12 was right there at number 2 all year in terms of RPI conference. So, again, the Big 12 has a little bit of a beef. And you heard Coach Rod and his media availability yesterday talk about it, that in talking with fellow coaches in the Big 12, they thought 5 to 6 would get in from the conference. And so when only 4 got in, he mentioned the word shocking. Now he also talked about they had sort of braced themselves for this, that the way it all played out. He hoped that the committee would kind of look at the entire body of work, but the way it ended, I mean, I think a lot of the committee, like you said, what have you done for me lately? I think that's what they look at a lot of times. Now, obviously it didn't hurt Alabama, but I think that the RPI and the SEC factor there played in favor for the Tide.
Bryce, there is this group of Baylor Twitter people it's just an absolute frenzy. And I had been tweeting kind of through the last couple of days my case for Baylor to make it in and why I thought we got down to crunch time and I was like, hey, it's 50-50 right now. I felt like I wouldn't have been surprised had Baylor made it in, and I'm really not that surprised they didn't. I saw you tweeted the same thing, that you were right there on the bubble of, hey, no matter what happens, I won't be shocked. I think a lot of people would have been shocked had Baylor made it in, Baylor fans especially. For you, what was it down to the very last second that made you think Baylor might just make it in here?
Yeah, I called it as a coin flip. I mean, I really did. I've just seen enough of these that Baylor looked like the ultimate bubble team, just based on their RPI, based on the way they finished, based on and why I thought they still had a chance. To me, it was the body of work, throughout the course of the entire season. Their record was overall record was very similar to some records that they've gotten in recent years. And the one thing I think, like I said, if they had been 12-12 in the Big 12 instead of 11-13, in looking at all these teams that made it, I didn't see a lot of losing conference records. And so, that's where one more win again, but absolutely, I thought it was a coin flip. And I had some people telling me they thought Baylor had 0% chance of making it in. And I was like, are you kidding? I mean, and another thing I thought that was really strong in Baylor's factor and something that, if they had made it into the field would make them a dangerous out in a regional is just the consistency of the hitting all year long. I mean, they were a team that, were hitting over 300 as a team. Now they had some ups and downs when they faced some better pitching like TCU and against Texas. But, to hit 300 as a team, to have sort of the veteran bullpen that you had, they were stacked up well. If they had made a regional, that they would have been just some pushover team they had a chance. Now, Coach Rod's still looking for that first trip to a super regional, and certainly hosting makes such a difference. I mean, if you can build up your regular season resume enough to where you get one of those top 16, host sites, that makes such a difference because, the crowd factor and just the comfort of playing at home. So I actually thought when Baylor had won, 4 straight Big 12 series and they had 2 to go, that if they had kind of kept that going and that was a tough chore to go to Stillwater. And then, Oklahoma series I thought was right there for the taking. They kind of let it slip away. But if they had ended up, finishing up with 6 straight Big 12 series wins, I thought Baylor could have been a host, So you go from, number 65 overall to a potential host. It's just, that's how slim the margin of error is sometimes.
Bryce, we talked probably only 3 weeks ago on the show about how Baylor and Pitt were the 2 most dangerous 2 seeds in the tournament because they were hot at the right time. They had depth. They had the quad 1 games. And now neither team is in the NCAA tournament. How so much can change that fast. For you and getting to talk to Coach Rod in that press conference yesterday, for those that haven't seen it yet, take us through his demeanor, some of the highlights for you of things that he mentioned coming off of the selection show.
Well, the first question I asked him, because I was wanting to know and curious about how it all worked, was how does the alternate process works, just in case that came into play. And he actually said, I think about as much as I did. It was a brand new thing, obviously, this year because of COVID. And so he wasn't sure if the NCAA would contact Mac Rhodes, if they would contact him. But he said, obviously everybody's getting tested. And so if there was, some sort of issue at one of the teams in the field over the next 24 hours after the announcement of the field, that Baylor would get the nod to get in. So I was curious about that. It's interesting that the coaches really knew so little about it, just like we did. I honestly, going into the bracket announcement, I didn't even know that was a thing. I mean, it didn't surprise me, I guess, but I wasn't really thinking about that as an option. But, and it's probably a little bit of a dagger for Baylor, because you certainly, you don't want to root for anyone to have COVID issues, and they really weren't holding out much hope of making it into the field. And now I saw Baylor baseball tweet out, within the last hour, just, great season, not the way we wanted it to end. So that leads me to believe that nobody has had COVID issues. I think if you've gotten this far, and managed to get in the field, you're probably safe, and a lot of people have gotten vaccines now. So I think we're starting to see, a little bit of a return to normalcy. As far as the rest of Coach Rod's demeanor, obviously disappointed that they didn't get in, but I don't think entirely surprised. And so now they'll flip the page and they'll go to the off season, and they've got some guys, I think, that will get drafted in July. The Major League draft has now been pushed back to July this year. So they'll have some guys that get that call. I asked him about that as well. And he mentioned he thought Andy Thomas would absolutely, get a call. He mentioned Davion Downey as a possibility. A guy he didn't mention, and I think it was just, probably an oversight on Coach Rod's part, just not thinking of him at the time, but was Luke Boyd. I mean, with his slider, that's a plus pitch that should play well at the pro level. So, there's some guys that should get that nod. And then, they were one of the youngest teams, in the country this year in terms of just all the starters they had that were like, second year freshmen or maybe a few sophomores. So, you got guys coming back that are young but have experience, so the Trey Richardsons and Jared McKenzie's and, Kyle Nevins. I mean, you have a nice nucleus to build around. And you still do have, some pitching coming back, Blake Helton, and some young guys I think he's high on that maybe haven't gotten as much, playing time yet, but probably will get unleashed next year.
Well, Bryce, I know if they could bring Andy Thomas back for an 8th year, that hopefully Andy would take it. I know Baylor baseball would certainly take it as well. We've had him on the show a couple of times, and he's got the beard going now, and he's pushing 30. But I tell you, I'm looking right now at just the full body of work of Steve Rodriguez at Baylor, and that's been a conversation for a lot of folks. Somebody called us today, was like, hey, what do you think about Coach Rod and his sustainability at BU? And for me, and I'm just kind of interjecting my own opinion, this season Baylor baseball wasn't supposed to sniff postseason play. They were supposed to be in the play-in game in Oklahoma City as an 8 or a 9 team, one of the last teams in the entire conference. And Rod brought this squad, even through a lot of injuries and COVID issues, to the cusp of the NCAA tournament. I think that speaks a lot to him, this staff, and what they've done at Baylor. For you, in your assessment of Coach Rod, what you've seen as a baseball beat writer, I mean, where do you put him and his tenure so far at Baylor?
Yeah, it's a great question. I thought the year that they won the Big 12 tournament, which would have been what, like
18? Yep.
Yep. That I thought that team had a real chance to get to a super regional and beyond. Obviously, he hasn't gotten to that stage yet, but overall, I think Rod's done a good job. That when he came in, the program was in a little bit of a lull in terms of its recruiting. And obviously he came in that first year. They didn't make the tournament, but that was kind of that transition year. And then since then, until this season, they've made the tournament every season. Obviously last year there was no tournament, but so you can't really, judge anyone on 2020. But I think what his teams have had, they usually have a really veteran bullpen. He likes putting some older guys, some experienced guys on that back end to close out games. And we've seen that over the years with Alex Phillips and Troy Montemayor and those kind of guys. And we saw it this year with, the Jimmy Winstons and Luke Boyds and stuff. I mean, so they've always done a good job of that. They usually have, some scrappy hitters. They focus a lot on execution. They usually do execute well, and when they don't, that's when they lose. But one thing that they're typically not is super aggressive on the base paths. He doesn't run a lot. And I just think that's his mindset is he doesn't want to run out of an inning. He doesn't want to make silly mistakes. If you get guys on base, he wants the guys behind them to execute and bring those guys around. And, I'm not saying they don't ever get aggressive on the base paths. They had a double steal, I think, at the Big 12 tournament that was effective and scored a run. But overall, he's done a good job in my mind. And it's just a matter of building it up where you get one of those sort of veteran teams. I'm not sure that next year would be the year, but maybe 2 years from now when McKenzie and Richardson and all these guys are juniors, basically fourth-year juniors, that could be a special bunch because you're talking about you'd have a lot of experience under your belt with some talented players. And it's a matter of kind of putting it all together, maybe getting one of those host sites, and seeing what you can do. But I really think he's done a good job at Baylor. They've basically been very consistent in making the tournament. Obviously, this year was the aberration.
Bryce, with that, as I look around the conference and see all these teams, you get TCU, Texas Tech, and Texas all being in that top 8 national seeds. I know how we talked about that should bode well for Baylor, but didn't in this case tournament-wise. Although, do you see those teams and where they're slated and think, yes, that was fair from the committee with where they placed those Big 12 squads in the top 8?
Yeah, I do. I think those teams were good all season long and, took care of business. Obviously, they had, some of them had some slip-ups, Tech against Baylor being one of them. But overall, when they had their series losses that they did have, they would usually bounce back. And that's the sign of a good team. I'm very impressed with both the pitching staffs at Texas and TCU. I think that's going to bode well for them as they make, runs toward Omaha. Tech is a very, very good team too. I'm not sure they quite have the pitching at the level of the other two, but I think they may have more hitting overall than the Longhorns and the Frogs do. But both of those, all three of those teams have a chance to do well. And I don't think you can, look past Oklahoma State at that Arizona regional. Obviously, Arizona is very good, 5 seed for a reason, but the Cowboys are very talented and they've got some hitters up and down that lineup. So I think any and all of those 4 Big 12 teams in the field can make a run at Omaha.
Bryce, I definitely know that those teams, a couple of them, especially TCU and Oklahoma State, are hot at the right time right now, what they showed in the Big 12 tournament. Oklahoma State especially, I think, is dangerous to go to Tucson. Last question for you, Bryce. We got our Bear Games question of the day. We give all of our callers and guests. Today's is interesting. So I talked about it. Now, you're a beat writer. Like, you write about teams. So this is going to be tough for you, and I'm not going to pin you in a corner where you have to answer. But I talked about how if there's one team out there that when they win, it just frustrates me, it's Ole Miss. Like, I don't like seeing Ole Miss win. For you, though, is there one team, maybe, you grew up a big UC Santa Barbara fan, so every time Pepperdine wins, it just grinds your gears. Is there one team that you hate seeing win, or, if that's too tough of a question, you're a beat writer, one team that outside of Baylor that you just love to see win?
Wow, great question. So in terms of college sports, growing up, I didn't really have a team. That's so weird to say, but I just everybody around me was either a Longhorn or an Aggie, and I just was like, okay, I've always been very much into pro sports, and so I followed the Houston Rockets and Astros and Oilers back when they were a thing. But so my answer would be different. My answer would be I would root for Satan's All-Stars against the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I want to see the Cowboys lose all the time, So that's my answer. But I went to a very small college in Oklahoma Baptist University. And so I guess, from a college perspective, our big rival was Oklahoma City. And we hated Oklahoma City. And so, if they lose, that's good for me. Yeah, I mean, but I don't really follow OBU athletics that much anymore. So
lock it in. The Oklahoma City, the college is shaking in its boots now. Like that they were not expecting that. There's got to be an alumni or two listening out there that they knew their school wasn't getting called out today, and they are frustrated. Bryce, I want to thank you for joining the show today, giving us your perspective on Baylor baseball into this postseason with the rest of the teams in the Big 12. And man, snubbed is the only word that I can think of that's appropriate for it, but maybe we can come back this time next year and Baylor's made it in securely and we're talking about a regional.
Yeah, that would be awesome. It's always fun. I was looking forward to maybe traveling to a regional. Those are always fun to cover. But yeah, we'll come back next year and see if they can do it.
Let's do it all over again. Hey, Bryce, thanks again for joining the show today. Again, that Bryce Cherry from the Waco Tribune-Herald joining the show, talking Baylor baseball today. Drake Toll alongside Armstrong Sims, Andrew Robertson, and Marquise Cooley. Got Jack McKenzie in here as well. When we come back, Grayson Gruntafer joins the show to talk Bearcast. Is that what we call that? No. It's the big board. The Bearcast was earlier today. We got the big board coming up talking football. We'll talk a little baseball and basketball as well. Don't go anywhere. Grayson Gruntafer joins us next. This is Up Tempo.
The NCAA baseball field of 64 is in, and Baylor is out. The Bears did not see their name called during Monday night's selection show during the unveiling of the bracket, but they did see their name immediately after as the first team out of the NCAA tournament. With COVID changing this year's procedure, the team could still make the NCAA tournament if another squad is unable to make their regional due to COVID issues. This must take place within 24 hours of the selection show that ended at 12. Teams such as Michigan, Maryland, and North Carolina all found their way over Baylor, despite having lower RPIs and seemingly worse resumes. This is the first time since Steve Rodriguez's first year at Baylor that the team has not made the big dance. Elsewhere in the conference, 4 teams punched tickets, with 3 being national seeds. Texas landed the number 2 seed and will host a regional, along with 6th national seed TCU and 8th national seed Texas Tech. Oklahoma State also made the field as a 2 seed in the Tucson, Arizona regional. In track, Baylor punched an additional 18 tickets to the NCAA championships in Eugene, Oregon, with a stellar performance in Saturday's West Regional in College Station. Names such as Akira Nugent, Alex Madlock, Aaliyah Miller, Camden Jackson, and Howard Fields. And Howard Fields III highlight the Baylor's qualifiers, along with the men's and women's 4x4 teams. Elsewhere, a new bill presented would allow college athletes to form unions. A study has shown that athletes see higher post-COVID heart risk. Buffalo's athletic director, Mark Allnut, has signed a 5-year contract extension. Not sure why we care. And John Calipari is waiting on a pivotal ruling on the eligibility of transfers before he will know who will play next year. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. It's been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Cynthia! Jesus died for our Cynthias!
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Julia Roberts! Julia Rob!
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. I'm Drake Toll alongside Grayson Gruntaper, and that's the only thing I can say in reference to that graphic. That's gorgeous. Did you see that?
That is beautiful.
Who made
that? Jack
McKenzie
coming through.
We asked Armstrong to do it, and he said, "You know what? Armstrong told me verbatim, he said, I'm not really that good at making graphics. I'm actually pretty bad in comparison to Jack.
That's absolutely
So I'm going to let
true.
Jack make it.
That's 100%
And then
correct.
Jack produced that.
Oh,
that
that's
is
awesome.
Unbelievable. Wow. That felt real. I connected with
I'm
that
excited
graphic.
now.
I connected with that graphic. Today we're talking a lot of Baylor baseball, Grayson, and I'd be remiss if we didn't start there. So here's the deal. If Baylor would have not been included on the bubble, if Baylor would not have been included in the top 5 and Pitt was in and a couple of these teams that made more sense were in, I think there's a case where Baylor doesn't make it in and no one's complaining because it's like most folks didn't think Baylor even had a remote shot. But now it's like, hey, pun intended, let's poke the bear.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but I will say I actually was in the small group that thought they did have a chance.
Really?
And my reasoning for
small
it,
group.
Yeah, small group, but the reason I was so optimistic about it was because I thought to myself, there is no way the number 2 RPI conference was only going to have 4 teams in. 3 of them are regional hosts, and the other is probably going to be a very dangerous 2 seed. So for me, it just made me go, okay, I feel like you have to pick between Oklahoma or Baylor.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They didn't pick either. Yeah. I was kind of stunned by it, to be honest, especially with how strong Baylor fared with the top of the league. I'm just thinking to myself, well, Baylor has 4 wins against the top 3 teams, which is fairly solid compared to the rest of the league.
Liberty made it in over Baylor. which, come on. Like, what?
Michigan with no non-conference schedule.
Yeah, I was going to get, like, there's Nebraska made it in, Florida State made it in, North Carolina made it in over Baylor. And then I look all the way down. Like, today I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'll find Michigan's RPI. Let's just go see it. A week ago, less than a week ago, 6 days ago, Michigan's RPI was 100. 100.
Well, but they had no non-conference. So that impacts significantly what their RPI could have been.
Who would they have played?
I mean, yeah, that's a fair argument to make. I will say I was talking to Craig earlier this morning, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, but this was one thing that came to mind. So a few years ago, TCU barely got in. Yeah. And their RPI, I think, was like 55, and they really were not a very deserving team. They weren't even on most people's bubble, and they got in. And so for me, when I was kind of thinking about where Baylor would be sitting on this day, and after they didn't get in, it made me think, I wonder if the committee, and it's right or wrong,
yeah,
I get that. I wonder if they take into account prior postseason success, and if that is a little bit of a measuring stick, because if you think about Michigan, they were in the national championship 3 years ago. TCU has been to the College World Series multiple years and made big runs. So right or wrong, I feel like that possibly could have came into play a little bit.
I would say no, that it's not a small factor in where they put these teams. I would say it's a huge factor.
Yeah.
I think it's, and JD mentioned this earlier, I don't think Michigan baseball is on the same brand as Alabama. Michigan's a consistent team in the NCAA tournament. I think LSU made it in because their head coach is retiring. They would probably made it in squarely, though. RPI, they're not bad. They're quad 1 wins. They're 9-15.
And they are Alabama in baseball.
Yeah,
they are
pretty much.
Yeah.
They have one title in the last 20 years under Paul Maneri, but they win the SEC tournament every other year. They've got the brand, the baseball brand. They're World Series perennially. Florida State has made it like 32 years in a row, so they were like, let's just throw them in there again.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan went to you can't exclude the national runner-up, I guess.
Yeah.
That's got to be the kind of the thought process there. But also when you're like looking down the RPI to find the national runner-up, and it takes you to 79, 89 to get 89.
Right.
We mentioned on the top of the show today, the 88th best team in RPI this season, Texas A&M, fired their coach because they were so bad. And a team that's lower than them, has a worse resume than them, made it into the NCAA tournament. Like, do you think the committee was like, well, they didn't play a non-conference, so that bodes well for them? Does that help you?
I think they did, truthfully. And here's my part of it. Baylor, how much better did Baylor get after their non-conference? A ton better, I would say. I think they got immensely better. So you count all those games. So I think they're banking on Michigan got all these games in, and now they're starting to peak.
Well, they're 4-6 in their last 10 against crappy Big Ten opponents.
I guess that's a problem. But don't they have series wins over a couple? Don't they have a couple good ones in there? Not a single one.
No, they are. They're quad 1. They've played 3 quad 1 games. They're 1-2.
1-2. All right. Well,
3 quad 1 games.
Then it's got to be past success, or else it's literally just banking on we like their talent.
Yeah.
Eye test, all that nonsense that college football uses.
Baylor has 13 quad 1 games. 4-9 is not great, but that's 13 quad 1 games.
I mean, 4 wins. I mean, how many of those? How many top 50 teams have 4 quad 1 wins? I mean,
almost all of them.
Okay, well, so that doesn't bode very well.
That's what's tough. Is like Baylor has 4 quad 1 wins. Arkansas, granted 1 seed, 25.
Yeah, my issue they're they're like the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
But for Baylor purposes, my issue with their resume is 8-14 away from home.
Yeah.
Whether neutral or on the road, that does not bode well in postseason play.
You know what doesn't bode well for me? North Carolina on the road, 6-14.
Yeah. Again,
6-14.
So how can you expect them to make a run when they're 6-14 on neutral or on the road? I mean, they're probably not going to do very well.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I'm looking at the teams that didn't make it in, or that made it in right above Baylor, the North Carolinas. Which that's the thing is like I can vaguely understand a couple of these making it in. If Georgia would have made it in over Baylor, I wouldn't have complained. Like, yeah, Georgia played an SEC schedule. They were 8-15 in quad 1 wins. Like, just let the guys in. But the fact that it's North Carolina, Florida State that made it into those spots, like that just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. Or UC Santa Barbara. Like that's the one I think more people should be talking about, that in Michigan. UC Santa Barbara, 51 RPI. I'm looking at their schedule right now. They on the road, 17-7, that's great. Quad 1, they're 2-9. 31 of their games came quad 4. were quad 4 games. 11 of them were quad 3. And when they played quad 1, they didn't win. Like they played UC Davis, Hawaii, Cal State Northridge. Give Baylor that schedule, you know? I mean, just how do you put a team like that in as an at-large UC Santa Barbara, the Gauchos, over Baylor?
Yeah, I mean, Baylor was 16-3 in quad, 2 and 3 games.
Oh, they won all the games they were supposed to win.
And UC Santa Barbara was 35-7 in quad 3 and quad 4. I mean, that is the majority of their schedule right there.
42 games in quad 3 and quad 4.
Crazy.
When I put that video out there, the case that Baylor should make the NCAA tournament, there were a lot of people, Baylor Twitter people, that were like, no, you're crazy. There's no way they're even a bubble team. Most folks, Bryce Cherry said it, thought there was a 0% chance. There was a percent chance. Baylor was 65 out of 64.
There definitely was. I think the way they finished just left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And, I mean, it should have. They just did. They limped to the finish. And honestly, I think after seeing the reveal, if they would have beaten Kansas State, I think they would have been in.
Yeah, 100%.
Which stinks. Yeah,
100%. And again, if Iowa State had a baseball team, Baylor's in.
Yeah.
All it takes is Iowa State freaking having a baseball team. It's just tough. I mean, I know it's a big topic of conversation today, but it's just insult to injury it's the first runner-up, not the first runner-up. It's like the honorable mention that you almost made it, that the NCAA even releases a bubble. Like, hey, here are the teams that we almost
You were so
put
close.
in. Yeah.
You almost had it.
Quite literally, what's the point of that? Are you getting a ring? Are you recruiting? Like, hey, listen, we were the 65th best team.
Look at this. Look at this bubble right here.
We would have won the
That was
NIT of Baylor of baseball. Like, what do you? Or the Armstrong? Do you have the clip of the Alabama? Do you have the commissioner clip? Yeah, I would love that. Have you seen this?
No.
Oh, this is so. So they asked the commissioner of the tournament. They're like, hey, so why did you let Alabama in as a bubble team? Like, what was because everybody else thought Alabama was out.
I heard about it.
And here's what he had to say.
With Alabama, it just really was. We wanted to make sure that their strength of schedule was very strong, and I think that was pretty much it. I mean, just Alabama's strength of schedule and a very strong conference made them a selection for us.
Jeff Fultz.
Poor Jeff there has never been on camera in his life. This guy's got the makeup, the bright lights, the toupee, and they said, hey, Jeff, Alabama made it in. Why? And
we have so many reasons why, and here are none of them.
He did. He said, so this is a direct quote. We wanted to make sure their strength of schedule was very strong.
Yeah.
Those came right out. We wanted to make sure their strength of schedule was very strong.
Had to be in.
And that's it.
Had to be in. Yep.
He literally says, he just flip, and that's it. Oh my gosh. What?
Well, I mean, if you do look at 7-15 against top 25 teams, 7 wins is good. I mean, but they have just a ton of L's against
10
good
and
teams
12
too.
down the stretch. 10 and 12.
Right.
I'm not even mad that Alabama got in. I'm just mad that the one team, Alabama's the most square bubble team that got in.
Yeah.
They're like 61 out of the 64. There are 3 other teams that have 0 Ks. If they would have asked him, like, hey, why did Michigan make it in? But I can't imagine.
I have no idea.
He would have exploded.
Yeah.
He would have exploded. They asked him at Alabama. They gave him the ice cream scoop, and he just crapped all over it. That's your baseball commissioner. JD mentioned it. We're never having him on the show.
No, please don't.
After he sees this, though,
please don't.
Any chance that we had is just out the window.
I would love for you to ask him about Michigan getting in, though.
Oh, I would love to hear the case for Michigan, for any of them. But he's the Stetson athletic director. So the next time we have a Stetson guest on, I guess we can, if Stetson exists, I'm wholly convinced that that's just a made-up university that they just put in there to have him as the commissioner. So we got outside of that, Baylor basketball, Jared Butler declaring for the NBA draft. That was expected, but dramatic. That was just about as last second as you can get.
Yeah, I'm excited for him, though, and I'm kind of excited for the way the process played out for him. I know he's one of the best to ever put on the green and gold.
Oh, for sure.
And so for him to wait that long, I think it kind of made it a cool storyline for fans to think about, what if he comes back? Baylor could go win another national championship. He would be cemented as the greatest Baylor athlete ever if he came back. I think he's got a case already to be, as far as accolades go. You know, he's got a great list of accolades to back that up, but I'm excited for him. It was time for him to go. He's going to be a first-round pick. He's going to be a guy who I think has a chance to make it in the league, which is something Baylor really needs. They need guys to make it in the league, and between he and Davion Mitchell, I think they have a good shot at having some guys really have good careers in the NBA. And, yeah, you know, last-minute kind of decision. I'm sure he made up his mind a while ago, but finally have some closure on that situation. Now Baylor basketball can move forward, and now Jared can move forward as we prepare to watch some of the NFL or NBA combine.
Best Baylor football player in history? It's either Mike Singletary or RG3.
Yeah.
Who do you give the nod to?
RG3, he won Heisman.
Got to go RG3. I agree. So then I would say, and I hate Mount Rushmores, they're the bane of my existence, but if you got to go Mount Rushmore, you're going RG3 football.
Yes.
Jared Butler basketball.
Yes.
Brittany Griner women's basketball.
Yep.
Jason Jennings baseball.
Probably.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Jason Jennings is like a 2-time All-American, I'm pretty sure.
I know, but they had a couple. Luddy was another really good one.
Better than Jason Jennings?
Max Muncy?
No.
Postseason?
Not Muncy in college.
Okay.
Just
out of college?
Yeah, MLB career, Muncy's great.
Muncy College, good. But Muncy College on par with Shea Langoliers.
Yeah.
I mean, you're putting...
They had some guys, but sure, I think that one's a little more debatable than the other three. I do. They had some really good players.
But Jason Jennings is like the accolades
he
racked up
that's
are
true.
nuts.
That's true.
Just college-wise, his numbers are stupid.
Yeah.
So, but maybe, I mean, he was Rookie of the Year, too, in the MLB. But that's...
Again, that's
pro.
after.
How much do you? Yeah. On to football though. How about the big men on campus? Not only are the signees arriving, you also have the recruits now can step foot on campus and it be legal. So kind of walk me through what that is, the kind of the ins and outs of what recruits can do now, and then for the signees, really where they are.
Okay, so I'll just start with the signees because it'll be a little bit quicker. But yes, they arrived over the weekend. Obviously, the entire team reported as well. The signees moved in, got to get into their dorms and kind of start college, really. I mean, classes start
this week. They're not dorms.
Not dorms.
They're
You're
not
right.
dorms.
Apartments. You're right. Apartments. Sorry about that. But where they're going to live. And then, of course, school starts this week, I believe, for summer one, I think.
Yeah.
I think summer one starts this week.
Started today.
There you go. And
not
then,
for me. For you?
For friends of mine.
Oh, wow.
Summer one, June 1st.
Yeah, and then either today or tomorrow, they're starting their summer workouts.
With Vic Valoria.
Yeah, just conditioning and weight room stuff, as some guys are obviously just adapting to college life. Others have obviously had the spring to get those things organized with Vic and understand how he does things. So that's going to be really important. That's going to take us all the way up until fall camp. A lot of just training, trying to get bigger, stronger, faster in the weight room. And then as far as, I guess, what's going on in recruiting now, camps.
Yep.
And visits. Those are the main things. You're going to see kids take a lot of unofficial visits for 2023. For 2022, it's going to be all about the official visits that players have scheduled. You can only have 5 of them. So you have to use them very wisely and strategically. So that's kind of where those guys are at. Baylor specific. This weekend, June 5th, they have a camp. The 12th, they have a camp. The 19th, they have a camp. Official visits on the 18th, that weekend, so 18th through 20th, and then 25th through 27th is the last official visit time, at least that they have scheduled right now. So that's kind of where we're at. I mean, it's going to be very busy for a lot of kids. They're going to go to camps. They're going to go all over the country and get to meet coaches. And it's really, really a cool time period and an experience for these guys that the 2021 class just simply did not get.
So the game's changing now with guys being able to step foot on campus again. Obviously, that's a positive. What is going to be, what is new now? This is the first time, really, for Dave Aranda and his staff that they can have a summer that's basically fully operational June 1st and on. How is it going to look different for those guys? I mean, the new experience for a head coach that is doing this for the first time as a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be huge. The simple fact of the matter is for a school like Baylor, you have to build relationships. And yes, you can build relationships through Zoom, you can build relationships through phone calls, but getting to be on campus, meet coaches, talk to coaches, and really get the face-to-face time is so important. It is so crucial, especially, like I said, to a school like Baylor, where I think it matters more than a lot of other places. So Dave Aranda, he's got his hands full, but I will say this is just a major positive for the staff, major positive for the recruiting team, and, of course, for the coaches, because you want to make sure you're getting the right type of players for your team, and the only way to do that, truthfully, is by getting to know those recruits and those players to make sure it's a good fit culturally.
Grayson, over to recruiting. I know there is one specific decommit that was big this last week. Take us through that.
Yeah, it's a big one. I can't really sugarcoat it because he was one who committed on the spot, and that's Cedric Roberts, Pflugerville Hendrickson. He got the offer from Baylor and committed the exact same phone call, basically. And so he was locked into Baylor. He came to the green and gold game, enjoyed that. Wow. He said that other schools were too late because Baylor was the place for him, and then decided to open up his recruitment. And he told me yesterday that a big part of it was just he wanted to be open to schools and wanted schools to treat him like he wasn't committed. Yeah. And really the only way to do that is to not be committed. Right. And he got an offer from Boston College today. I think more offers are going to be coming soon. I know, Boston College, not the biggest offer.
Got bad news for him if he wants good weather in Boston.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's just the beginning, to be honest, of what will be a run of some offers. Baylor's still in his top 5. He still will take his official visit, at least as of right now. And so Baylor's still in on this one. I would say that I don't think it's over. Yeah. Most times when kids decommit, it is over. But in this particular situation, he has an OV scheduled. He loves Baylor. Baylor's his best relationship still. He committed early. A lot of signs are still telling me that he could end up at Baylor, and it's a big one because the trenches are where football games are won, and you have to be able to recruit the defensive line and offensive line. And right now, Baylor's defensive line, there is a depth problem, and they have got to replenish that with young freshman talent, not just dip into the transfer portal.
So a couple of other deals here. Kansas is just Buffalo South now. They have taken – Leopold has taken just about every player that Buffalo has on the roster and moved them to Kansas, which I tweeted out, and it got zero traction, that Kansas is once again a mid-major caliber program because they're just Buffalo. Similar colors, I guess. With that, Nowitzki going over to Kansas is a tough loss. I say loss. I mean, he would have been a good pickup from the transfer portal. Anybody else in that portal that you're looking at? And really, what do you make of Kansas's push for those Buffalo players?
Yeah, I think it's actually smart for Kansas for once. And the reason I think that is because they simply do not have the talent on their roster right now to compete. Yeah. So why not get guys who at least are familiar with the system, can help establish a culture at Kansas because they know Coach Leopold very well. But I mean, they're not going to be good next year. They're going to struggle immensely, as they always have. But I think they are trending in the right direction. I honestly think it's very smart of them to do that, especially as they're trying to get their numbers back. They have been dealing with a numbers problem for years because they took too many shots on JUCO players. And that just simply is not a way to build a roster and build a productive program. And so now he's trying to build it the right way by putting in these transfers to supplement the talent and then try to recruit. And that's really all that he can do at this time.
Baylor transfer-wise, any other names out there that you're looking at, you're honing in on right now?
Right now it's kind of at a point where I would say there's not a key target that is still out there in the portal. I know Kane Madden, I believe he was second-team All-American. He's from Marshall. He's a transfer. I don't think Baylor's going to be able to get him. There's too much competition there, it seems. Florida State's a big player in his recruitment. So he's an NFL guy. I mean, he's a guy who's going to be an NFL draft pick, but I don't see that one happening for Baylor. Kingsley Ugu, who we've talked about a ton, the JUCO prospect, still out there. Got a Texas Tech offer over the weekend. So still trying. He is taking his time. Let's just say that. He's taking his time in his recruitment. Again, I don't expect him to come to Baylor if he does. Not that I don't expect him to come to Baylor, but I don't expect him to come to Baylor and be an instant starter. Gotcha. If that makes sense. He might end up at Baylor, but especially now that he's waiting out the whole, until Lord knows when. I mean, he's still taking his time. I mean, I just don't see him getting on campus and being able to make a huge impact day one.
Well, that's we talked a little baseball, some basketball, recruiting, hit the transfer portal. Do want to give you our Bear Games question of the day before we wrap up our big board. So I hate seeing Ole Miss win at anything. Like, that's the one school, the one team that I don't care if it's ice hockey or what do they call it, bago. But what's the other name for that?
Cornhole.
Cornhole. I'm a bago guy.
Bago.
Arkansas we call it
Bago?
Bago.
Wait. That's the same game as cornhole?
Yeah. Bago and cornhole. It's just a different name for the same game.
Terrible name.
It's only cornhole. Whatever.
So for you, I just hate seeing, like, it just grinds my gears when Ole Miss wins at anything. Who's the one school that you're like, ugh, they won and I hate it?
Is it a cop-out to have a tie?
Oh, no, definitely not.
Okay, it's for sure TCU and Texas A&M. For sure.
A&M without a doubt.
It's a tie for me.
TCU?
I can't stand when either of those schools win at anything. No.
Yeah.
Can't stand it.
The only reason I don't have TCU on my list is because that 09 home run they hit at the College World Series to walk off Florida State, that was nuts. That was nuts. It was like the last season before TD Ameritrade trade.
It was nuts, and I hated every minute.
Yeah, it's just one of those moments in sports you're like, salute. But yeah, I think TCU's that is a bit of a cop-out. It's a bit of a cop-out.
It is. But
A&M,
so you could say A&M's a cop-out too,
A&M's a cop-out, but A&M just makes so much sense.
It does.
For everyone that exists. The A&M fan base, we will at some point in time this summer rank the worst fan bases in sports. And it will be tough to not have A&M toward the top.
Yeah, and my out-of-state one is Indiana.
Why?
IU.
10 win Indiana?
Yeah, Indiana.
That was such a fun story. Why do you hate Indiana?
No, I hate Indiana.
You're anti-Indiana?
Yeah, both my parents went to Purdue, so I hate Indiana.
Well, my mom went to Indiana. So
middle.
how about that?
What?
Gosh. Mind blown.
Wow.
They're
We're going to have a
building
feud
something
here in the break.
Well, good thing they're not good at anything. So.
Other than football, apparently.
I'm Drake Toll. That's Grayson Grundafer on the big board. Armstrong Sims, Andrew Roberts, Marquise Cooley, and Jack McKenzie. Thanks for coming on as always. It's always fun.
Hey, I love being on here.
I love it. Let's do it again next week. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, Jason King joins the show. This is Up Tempo.
The NCAA baseball field of 64 is in, and Baylor is out. The Bears did not see their name called during Monday night's selection show during the unveiling of the bracket, but they did see their name immediately after as the first team out of the NCAA tournament. With COVID changing this year's procedure, the team could still make the NCAA tournament if another squad is unable to make their regional due to COVID issues. This must take place within 24 hours of the selection show that ended at 12. Teams such as Michigan, Maryland, and North Carolina all found their way over Baylor, despite having lower RPIs and seemingly worse resumes. This is the first time since Steve Rodriguez's first year at Baylor that the team has not made the big dance. Elsewhere in the conference, 4 teams punched tickets, with 3 being national seeds. Texas landed the number 2 seed and will host a regional, along with 6th national seed TCU and 8th national seed Texas Tech. Oklahoma State also made the field as a 2 seed in the Tucson, Arizona regional. In track, Baylor punched an additional 18 tickets to the NCAA championships in Eugene, Oregon, with a stellar performance in Saturday's West Regional in College Station. Names such as Akira Nugent, Alex Madlock, Aaliyah Miller, Camden Jackson, and Howard Fields. And Howard Fields III highlight the Baylor's qualifiers, along with the men's and women's 4x4 teams. Elsewhere, a new bill presented would allow college athletes to form unions. A study has shown that athletes see higher post-COVID heart risk. Buffalo's athletic director, Mark Allnut, has signed a 5-year contract extension. Not sure why we care. And John Calipari is waiting on a pivotal ruling on the eligibility of transfers before he will know who will play next year. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. It's been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbets, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
No capes. Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers, nice man, good with kids.
Listen. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Diner guy, snag on takeoff, splash down, sucked into a vortex. No kicks.
Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Tuesday, everybody. 1 o'clock hour. Starting it out today with Jason King, SicEm365.com, talking Baylor basketball as Jared Butler waited till the last second to declare for the NBA draft yesterday, or 2 days ago, I should say. Jason, thanks for coming on. And Jared Butler, no surprise there for you, I'm sure.
Not really. I mean, I'm sure like all people that were following it, they were probably a little curious why he waited so long. But I mean, I think throughout the season, everyone kind of assumed that this was his last year, and understandably so. And I mean, you know, after everything he did, you just got to be happy for him and wish him well and thank him. You know, if you're a Baylor supporter, because wow, I mean, the memories he gave to this team, not just this season, but the previous two. I mean, I think, you know, in my mind, I mean, he's my favorite guard, might go down to the best guard in Baylor history, you know, and hopefully they'll find a way to, you know, retire his jersey along with several others. So, you know, I'm happy for him. And a lot of times too, with the draft, I mean, I remember at the end of last year, you know, I think when he was tinkering with the thought of leaving, one of the common thoughts was, well, he kind of is who he is. I mean, he's not really going to help his stock a ton by coming back. He could go, and that didn't prove to be true at all. He tremendously, helped his draft stock, I think, by coming back another year and it really enhanced all the positive feedback he was already getting. And I think all the things that he had been told to work on, he worked on and got better at, and now is a potential first-round pick. So fingers crossed.
Jason, for you, I mean, you have a lot of these guys, even Max Asmus was one of the late ones to declare for the NBA draft, and Butler didn't do it until 2 weeks after Asmus from Oral Roberts did. Was it a surprise to you that Jared waited as long as he did? I know a lot of us were kind of left out on the hook wondering, what are the odds?
It was a surprise, and it made me wonder, was he seeking more feedback? What needed to happen for him to kind of pull the trigger on it? I don't think he's the type that was looking for attention or trying to cause any drama. I think he was just being really, really careful. And, obviously he heard good things about, where he might potentially be picked and decided to go ahead and do it. I think he just wanted to be absolutely sure, because I can see where it'd be hard for some guys. I mean, they think, wow, look at this season we just had and all the positive things that happened and how fun it was. And, he could have come back and lived that all over again. And sometimes that's hard to pass up. But I think, business wise, it was probably time. And also just, on the flip side of what I just said, I mean, it's, if you come back, it's hard to live up to, it's hard to win a championship in a row, no matter who you are. So, he wanted to go out just with that ultimate high and not have anything that could have happened this season be a letdown.
Jason, and I know you mentioned it there, Butler being one of the greatest to ever lace him up for Baylor. Mm-hmm. And in what you've seen, as I'm looking down the list, obviously I think Davion Mitchell down the stretch maybe had a better postseason or late season run than Butler this past year, but full body of work and his entirety of his career at Baylor. It's tough to argue anyone else being better in Baylor history. For you, I mean, do you give the nod to Jared Butler? Is it tough to not give it to Jared Butler as the best to do it for BU?
I really do. I do. And I think the term you used, Drake, was perfect, full body of work. I mean, the argument could be made that toward the end of this past season that the best player on the team was Davion Mitchell. And I might go along with that. He was certainly playing the best at that point and was impacting the game so much on both ends. But I think you got to look back to and just what all Jared did for that program. I mean, let's just look beyond the stats and the numbers. I mean, just the ambassador he was for the school, the leadership he showed, the way he carried himself, the vibe he brought to that locker room, the chemistry he helped form. I mean, I just think the overall package. I mean, I think Jared Butler is not just one of the Baylor best, not only the best Baylor guard in history, but I think you have to put him out there with just some of the best names in that whole athletic department. I mean, in Baylor sports history, I mean, what he brought to that school, just in terms of, and I've said this on your show a million times, that I mean, Baylor for so many years, people just wanted to focus on the negative aspects of Baylor, and even when positive things happened, people would still bring up negative stuff. You know what I mean? And now it's like finally, Baylor was able to march this kid out in front of America and put him on those talk shows all across the nation. And when they won, they put him on Good Morning America, whatever, and said, "This is the face of our school now, of our program. This is who Baylor is." And to me, that's what he brought to Baylor too. Besides just being a good player, he just really was a great face for that whole school.
Jason, I'm glad you mentioned that Jared as an ambassador and what that'll do for him going into the NBA with these with the scouts, GMs. I mean, he's the kind of guy that you sit down for an interview and he's going to be able to sell himself so well with what he's done on and off the court. And that reminds me, I mean, we haven't really talked since that I can think. We haven't really talked since the national championship. I know it's the last time we saw each other, and then even after that on the show, it was still sinking in that week post. For you now, I mean, a few months removed, just the entire run that Baylor made this last season, has it really sunk in fully? And kind of some of your thoughts and summary of what we saw from Baylor in the postseason as Jared Butler did cement that legacy.
Yeah, well, it still hasn't really sunk into me. I mean, what's cool, though, is just, I have some Baylor gear that I wear occasionally, and just, you know, if you wear a Baylor basketball shirt or something, people are coming up to you and either saying, wow, what a great run that was, or wow, I can't believe how good they were. And it was just funny because I remember going into that game, I don't know if you heard this, people were saying, oh, Baylor Gonzaga, that'll draw great ratings, kind of sarcastically, you know what I mean? Like, who's going to watch these non-Power 5 schools? But, man, like, just seeing the ratings that game drew and how many people watched it, how many common fans that still tuned in, even though it wasn't a Duke or Kansas or North Carolina or something. I mean, Baylor really, really made an impression, not just by winning the game, but with how they won that game. I mean, I even had some people say, well, before that game, you know, the main thing people are going to remember most from this Final Four is Jalen Suggs' shot against UCLA. I don't buy that at all. I mean, the Baylor winning that game in that fashion, to me, you know, said a lot of things, not just about how good the team was, but to me it said a lot about Scott Drew's coaching and really kind of cemented him as a elite coach with how well he had that team prepared. It said a lot about the culture of Baylor's program now and what they've helped create. It said a lot about guys individually. What I loved about that game was, you know, we talked so much about all year about Butler and Mitchell and Teague and Vital, but I mean, and people always kind of look, oh, but the front court's not, you know, that might be a weak link. Flo Thamba impacted that game in a big way. JTT impacted that game in a big way. Every player in that rotation can years from now can look back at that championship game and say they made an impact. They helped win that game. Here's what I did defensively or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was something that was really cool about it.
Jason, moving into the offseason, there have been a lot of different storylines. We already talked about Butler. You know, Matthew Meyer has been another one of those guys that folks have mentioned on the national scale. He's maybe the best NBA prospect on Baylor's national championship team. He just needs one more year. But it sounds like he might not even take that one more year. And if he hears enough good things from scouts, he could go now. From your perspective, what you've seen of him and then players past, when you think about what Matthew Meyer has done at Baylor, is his work finished? Or would coming back for another year behoove him?
I think it would definitely behoove him, and I think it would be a mistake for him to go. And I think everyone on the outside looking in, and I'm talking about scouts and analysts, you know, would probably advise him to come back. But some guys just mentally, they kind of check out and they're ready to take that next step, even if they have to play in the G League or sit the bench for a while. Some guys are just ready to kind of move on, and I hope that's not him. I don't think that's what he'll do, but you know, if it does, I do think he would probably get drafted in the second round and make a roster. And I think his upside is, you know, is bigger than anyone probably on the team. You know, he could be like a Sakatarian Prince or something. You know, I mean, a guy that you could see good things from, kind of lurking, and then all of a sudden he has a breakout year. I think that could be him this upcoming season. You know, at the same time, I mean, you also hope he doesn't hurt his stock. You hope, you know, that he doesn't start making foolish decisions with the ball and try to do too much and put too much pressure on himself, start taking bad shots and become too erratic, you know, once he gets more of a role. So, but I think that coming back would be the best thing for him. And obviously all, you know, the Baylor fans are crossing their fingers because this is another top 5 team, in my opinion, coming back, especially if he's part of it. But he's just such a tough matchup for other people. He's just such a unique player. You just don't see guys that big or that tall, at least, that have so many that have so much in his arsenal in terms of just being able to dribble and move like he does, the wider range of shots that he has, whether it's a fall away or whatever. He's just got so much you know, in his arsenal, and I think he could really put it on display without so much pressure next year. I think a lot of times he played under pressure, like, oh, if I take a bad shot, they're going to pull me out. If I make a bad pass, they're going to pull me out. I think he would be able to play with a lot more mental freedom this year, and we'd really see what he can do.
Jason, would you be surprised at all if Meyer comes back and ends up being a preseason Big 12 first team or even preseason Big 12 player of the year, just when you think about the potential he has, even though he hasn't started consistently yet for Baylor?
Knowing how the media operate, I would be surprised if he was the Big 12 preseason player of the year. I definitely could see him sneaking onto some Big 12 first team preseason list and things of that sort, second team at the absolute worst. Because I think, you know, he did create a bit of a name for himself, and rightfully so, during the tournament. So it's funny, though, some of these preseason teams are such a joke. I remember a few years ago, it's a funny story, going into Butler's sophomore year, if you remember, really played well as a freshman toward the end of that year, but had the 31 points at Allen Fieldhouse. I don't know. Since I was watching him every game, I was on to him. I was like, man, this guy's going to be the best guard Scott Drew's ever coached. I felt that after his freshman year. And so I was that year, as every year, I do the Athlons magazine. I'm the guy that picks the preseason all Big 12 team. So I did that for Athlons. And if you remember, everyone was picking Tristan Clark. You know, like he was on all these preseason All-American lists. He had gotten hurt, you know, and was doing well before he got hurt. And I called him, and I had Butler on my team, and they called me and they're like, Jason, we're gonna switch this to Tristan Clark. You know, I know you like Butler, but man, everyone seems to like Clark. And Andy Katz has it. And all that. So I'm like, all right, go ahead. You know, they didn't trust me. You know, see what happens. So sometimes I think people they all try to pick the same teams because everyone's scared of looking stupid. No one wants to take a risk. I remember that happening. And I texted that guy at the end of the Final Four. I said, don't you think you should have left Butler on that first team? He's like, you're right, I'm sorry. So,
Lo and behold, there Jared Butler was. Jason, you've got Davion Mitchell, who is looking like a top 10 NBA draft pick right now. He's going to have prospect to play as early as next season. Mark Vidal and Maceo Teague, from your perspective and what you've seen from college guys, I won't ask you to pick out a guy to compare those two that's in the collegiate or the professional game. But for both of those guys, do they have strong upside, in your opinion, when it comes to the professional game?
You know, I mean, just to be flat honest, I mean, I think it was going to be tough for those guys to play, to ever be like NBA standouts. You know, although I'm going to say this about Teague, like, he showed me a lot. I mean, like, I thought, everyone's like, who was your surprise player last season? Teague, you know, in a lot of ways, to me, it was Teague, just how good he was. I thought he went to an even higher level, did so many good things, was Baylor's best player there for a stretch. And, you know, if it wasn't for that hitch in his shot, you know, I mean, I think that's what really turned some NBA people off. You know, maybe not the best ball handler in the world in terms of just being a passer. If you notice with T, I think when anyone on the team, the ball would kind of stick. You catch him dribbling around a lot with that. You know, but I'm nitpicking here, you know, but to me, those would be the limitations and why, you know, if he doesn't make it in the NBA, the guy's going to make a ton of money overseas, you know, for years if he wants to, you know, and I think sometimes guys have a hard time accepting that that's what they have to do. But once they start doing it, they start getting rich and they're overseas and they're a star and they're playing a lot. They're having fun, you know. So I mean, if it comes to that for him, it's certainly not a negative at all. I mean, I know like a guy I used to cover at Kansas named Keith Langford. He's so dejected he didn't get drafted, didn't play in the NBA. Finally started playing overseas. He became the highest paid American player overseas, made over $15 million, $20 million playing over there. He's still playing over there, and he graduated in 03. So actually 05. So T could be a guy like that. And the same with Vidal. I mean, Vidal could make a ton of money playing overseas. I mean, he likes to compare himself to P.J. Tucker, which I see a lot of similarities there. The only difference is P.J. Tucker can really score the ball. And I think Mark struggles in that area at times just because he's not the best outside shooter. But, I mean, those guys will probably both get invited to NBA camps and play in the NBA Summer League, and they'll get a better gauge on where they are. I don't see them getting drafted, but they'll have a chance to make a team. And if they don't, that doesn't mean their career's over. I think both of them are going to make a lot of money.
Well, Jason, when it comes to the rest of this roster, the way it's going to move and shake and come together next season, you know, James Akinjo coming in, and I'm sure Dale Bonner will be able to contribute off the bench or at least give guys some good, a warm body to see during practice. I look down the roster, and there's so many names with the class coming in, and then Flagler and Cryer. I mean, right now, when you look at the Akinjo, Flagler, Meyer, and then obviously you got Kendall Brown, JTT and Flo Thamba. You're listing 6 guys there without even mentioning LJ Cryer, who could have been a probable second team guy going into this next season. That just shows the depth of this team. When you look across the depth, although it's way too early, what do you see? I mean, do you like what you see in comparison to what Scott Drew has had in years past?
I do. I mean, you hate to just get too optimistic because, I mean, again, it's so hard to A, win a Big 12 title and B, win a national title. The best team didn't always do it, but this will be a team good enough to win the national title again, especially if that culture toughness carries over. I mean, losing Mitchell and Vital, those are big losses on the defensive end as well, and just the culture they help create. But if the guys that are back can help maintain that, I mean, just from a personnel perspective, sure, this team looks like another national contender without question. The guy that everyone's sleeping on, to me, is Cryer. I mean, there's so much talk about Akinjo, and rightfully so. There's excitement about Flagler, and rightfully so, and Meyer. But man, I'm a big time believer in the prospects of LJ Cryer. I just think, he's just from an offensive standpoint, I think he could be the best 3-point shooter on the team. From what I heard, he might have been last year. And if they were going to go out and have a 3-point contest in the practice, I heard he would win a lot of those contests. So I think he's going to be a big timer. Anytime what is he in? I always forget the stat, but I think if he ranks like 3rd or 4th in the history of Texas high school basketball in scoring. Maybe that's just Class 5A. I can't remember, but look it up. It's in his bio. But anytime you're averaging 38 points a game or whatever it was in high school in the state of Texas where the competition is so good, that says a lot. So I'm excited about him in that whole backcourt and Meyer, And initially I was like, man, they need more bigs. But, I mean, we saw what they did with a short bench when it comes to bigs, so I think they'll be okay. And I think of the newcomers, the freshmen, I mean, I think Kendall Brown is going to be the guy you'll see a lot of. Langston Love and Jeremy Sohan, maybe have to kind of take a back seat their first year, which is fine, but definitely going to be deep and fun to watch once again.
Well, Jason, on the note with Scott Drew, and what he's been able to do at Baylor, we talked about the full body of work earlier, but even this last season, it felt like if there was ever going to be a time where Scott left, it would be right after that national championship when a lot of folks are throwing money at him. There was the Indiana talk, the Arizona talk, all those figures, and instead of Scott going to Arizona, he actually got Arizona's best player to come to him and go to Baylor. In your opinion, and this is my last question for you, from what you have seen, is it safe to say Scott Drew is most likely a lifer at Baylor?
Yeah, from what I've seen, absolutely. I heard Indiana didn't go after him, which is just ludicrous. Now, I don't think he would have gone either way, but I do. I think he's a lifer because I think that he is never – I think he'll always get what he needs in terms of money. Although I don't think that's at all what drives Scott, but I don't think that'll ever be an issue. I mean, to me, they're going to build a statue for that guy. They'll name something after him at some point. I mean, why leave? I think more, I think a lot of times you're seeing this with more coaches now. I mean, coaches are scared to leave good situations. I remember before Greg Marshall got in trouble at Wichita State, because I got along with him real well. And every year, schools like Alabama were calling, and NC State, Nebraska, K-State. And I was like, why would you stay at Wichita State? He's like, man, I'm making $4 million a year. They love me here. We're winning. We're selling out the arena. He's like, I could go to Alabama and fail. Just because the situation wasn't right. Scott's in a perfect situation at Baylor. He's got it rolling. He's got a new arena coming. People want to play now. Baylor's the cool school to go to now for a lot of guys. There's no reason to go, to use the cliche those coaches are using, there's no reason to mess with Happy, and I just can't see a scenario where he would leave, to be honest. But he's got so many years ahead of him. Yeah, well, I mean, who knows? I mean, I can see him coaching into his 70s. So we're talking about 20 years. A lot can change in those times. So you hate to just never say never, but from in the near future or the foreseeable future, I can't imagine him leaving.
Well, Jason, I got a bear game.
I think my last thing. I mean, Scott Drew, I think, has cemented his spot in the Basketball Hall of Fame too. He's won a title. I mean, and you couple that with the building job he did there and the difficult situation he took over. I mean, he's going to go in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Bill Self's in the Hall of Fame. He's won one title. You know what I mean? And I think he deserves. I'm glad he's in the Hall of Fame. Bill Self deserves it, but I mean, Scott Drew absolutely deserves it. That's going to happen.
Well, Jason, I got a Bear Games question for you today, and I gotta agree. I don't know how you could argue having Scott Drew in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, the Naismith Hall of Fame. I mean, what he's done at Baylor, the rebuild in itself is enough for that. Jason, Bear Games question of the day. We've been talking about today schools that you just don't love to see win. And I know it's tough for folks in media, beat writers, to say like, oh, I don't enjoy seeing so-and-so win. But sometimes it's a vendetta that comes from childhood, as mine is. Ole Miss. Anytime Ole Miss wins at anything, I'm just irked. For you, who's that one team that you just think, oh, man, I'd really love it if they didn't win at anything?
Yeah, well, my sentiments from that come from being a beat writer for so long and a journalist for so long. When, as you know, for a long time I worked at the Kansas City Star. My job was to cover University of Kansas. And Missouri fans were just ruthless. I mean, it was, you hate to not like a school because of their fans, but I mean, their fans were just brutal. I mean, whether it was stuff they said to me on Twitter, on message boards, ways that I would watch them treat opponents, certain signs they would hold up. It's just the most obnoxious group of fans I've ever been around. And it just made me root for them to lose, not because I had anything against the coaches or the players who always treated me great. It was just those fans. I was just kind of funny to see them squirm after all the comments I would hear. And to this day, I take a little delight whenever I see them lose. And plus, I mean, I hate to say it, but all these media members that for the past 7, 8, 9 years have just loved to needle Baylor and take shots at Baylor and say Baylor go to Baylor and all this crap. I mean, half of them went to Missouri. So, so it's kind of funny to see that as well.
Wow. Well, Jason, I'll tell you what, as someone that grew up an Arkansas fan, they tried to create that fake borderline rivalry with Missouri, and you can't manifest a rivalry out of nothing for the sake of money. So Missouri's on the top 10 list, but not quite moving all the way up yet, but I'm sure I'll get there one of these days.
Well, the good thing is they're not really good at anything. And, some years they're mediocre at certain things. So they haven't had a lot of bragging rights. And when I was covering Kansas would school them pretty well every year, and it even got to a point where they were beating them in football during the small time frame when Kansas was good at football. So, yeah.
07, baby. Gotta love that 07 season. Well, Jason, I want to thank you for coming on and giving us perspective on this basketball team that Baylor's coming, this basketball season they're coming off of, and the team of guys that have a couple of pro prospects in there and in the mix, possibly going NBA, overseas, just making a living out of basketball after a national championship victory. Always great to get your perspective, and we're going to the off season. Hopefully some more crazy stuff will happen and we can do it again.
I hope so. My last comment is I just thought of this as when we were talking. How cool is it that, for years people said Baylor has no business being in the Big 12. They'll never compete. And Richards got him in. It's just a joke. And now here we have 2 basketball coaches that will be in the Hall of Fame because of what they accomplished at Baylor. Kim Mulkey, obviously already there. Scott Drew went. I don't know. It's pretty cool. Because I just remember for years when Baylor was like sucking at everything, and all my friends would just, take shots, and just Baylor was everyone's little doormat. You know what I mean? And now here we are talking about 2 Hall of Fame coaches because of their accomplishments at Baylor. Pretty cool stuff. So
it's the equivalent to Kansas football in 20 years winning a national championship and having a Hall of Fame coach. That's a crazy thought.
It really is.
Not as crazy like that. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's so comparable. That in itself is unbelievable in the way to put it like that. But Jason, thank you again. Always a pleasure.
All right, man. Take care. Thanks.
Again, that was Jason King of SicEm365. Drake Toll alongside Armstrong Sims, Andrew Robertson, Marquise Cooley, and Jack McKenzie. We talked basketball there for a little bit. We're going to go back to baseball. Steve Rodriguez met with media yesterday and talked about just almost immediately after the selection show, when he found out that his team would not be playing anymore, that Andy Thomas had laced it up for the last time, Ryan Leckett, Luke Boyd, guys like that. He talked to the media about what it was like to be excluded. We've got press conference clips from Steve Rodriguez yesterday coming up after this break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll hear from Steve Rodriguez. This is Up Tempo.
The NCAA baseball field of 64 is in, and Baylor is out. The Bears did not see their name called during Monday night's selection show during the unveiling of the bracket. But they did see their name immediately after as the first team out of the NCAA tournament. With COVID changing this year's procedure, the team could still make the NCAA tournament if another squad is unable to make their regional due to COVID issues. This must take place within 24 hours of the selection show that ended at 12. Teams such as Michigan, Maryland, and North Carolina all found their way over Baylor, despite having lower RPIs and seemingly worse resumes. This is the first time since Steve Rodriguez's first year at Baylor that the team has not made the big dance. Elsewhere in the conference, 4 teams punched tickets, with 3 being national seeds. Texas landed the number 2 seed and will host a regional, along with 6th national seed TCU and 8th national seed Texas Tech. Oklahoma State also made the field as a 2 seed in the Tucson, Arizona regional. In track, Baylor punched an additional 18 tickets to the NCAA championships in Eugene, Oregon, with a stellar performance in Saturday's West Regional in College Station. Names such as Akira Nugent, Alex Madlock, Aaliyah Miller, Camden Jackson, and Howard Fields III highlight the Baylor's qualifiers, along with the men's and women's 4x4 teams. Elsewhere, a new bill presented would allow college athletes to form unions. A study has shown that athletes see higher post-COVID heart risk. Buffalo's athletic director, Mark Allnut, has signed a 5-year contract extension. Not sure why we care. And John Calipari is waiting on a pivotal ruling on the eligibility of transfers before he will know who will play next year. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Pay for qualified buyer with $4,000 down at 2.9% TTL extra. See deal for details.
Travel is back, and so are the savings at the Memorial Day Savings Event at Richard Carr. Hit the road in a 2016 Buick Encore for only $152 a month, a 2016 GMC Sierra for only $318 a month, a 2018 Mercedes GLA for $334 a month, or a 2015 GMC Terrain for only $135 a month. 100% credit approval is always our goal. It's a Memorial Day Savings Event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
All right, welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Rounding out your 1 o'clock hour today, we got Steve Rodriguez. Press conference clips. Armstrong, will you run the Alabama the commissioner one more time, please? I need to hear this.
With Alabama, it just really was. We wanted to make sure that their strength of schedule was very strong, and I think that was pretty much it. I mean, just Alabama's strength of schedule and a very strong conference made them a.
I love it. That's my favorite thing on the day today. It was. We wanted to make sure that they were. Their strength of schedule was very strong, and that's it. No, wait. Their strength of schedule was very strong, and that's it. That's Baylor baseball's reason for not making the postseason, is because Alabama's strength of schedule, and that it was the A. So Steve Rodriguez, after that debacle, spoke to the media yesterday. Did not reference that, thankfully. But this from Steve Rodriguez yesterday when he met with the media after finding out his team would not make it into the postseason.
Rod, what do you understand about how the alternate process works? I mean, if there's a team that has COVID issues, does the NCAA just kind of let y'all know? I mean, how does that work?
Well, I think you probably know as much about it as I do. This might be the first time they've ever done this. And, it's just my understanding that everybody has to get tested. And within 24 hours, if a team has issues, then we would be the next one up. That's all I really know. I don't know if they contact our athletic director. I don't know if they contact me. But I'm not overly hopeful about that, so I'm not putting too much weight on it.
Go to Jerry.
Yeah, Rod, just kind of your feelings today when I'm guessing you watched the whole thing. What were your feelings when you found out you weren't in?
We kind of started to expect it as time went on. I thought we did enough, be honest, for the whole season. I didn't think it was really going to be more about the last couple of weeks. And I thought our resume for the whole season was actually pretty good. We ran into some just unluckiness with COVID and some injuries down the stretch. And we weren't able to really overcome it. And it was a shame because, Tyler Thomas was at practice yesterday and, we're all getting back to healthy with Esteban actually practicing as well. And so we were getting ready to go. But it was just unfortunate. We did watch it. And like I said, I didn't have overly high expectations. I just figured with the second RPI league, and we had 3 teams that are national seeds and only taking 4. I think that was a surprise to quite a bit. And then some people who had higher RPIs behind us ended up going in. So just unlucky.
Go back to Bryce.
Well, you kind of almost answered it a little bit there, Rod, but the Big 12 gets some respect in terms of the 3 national seeds, but I mean, you mentioned it. It was surprising that there were only 4 overall in there. I mean, did you feel like at least 5 were warranted?
I think just because of the second ranked RPI league, I know that I was talking to a couple other coaches and they were expecting 5 or 6 teams from our league to actually be able to get in. And when there was only 4, I think quite a few of us were pretty shocked.
Go over to JMO.
Yeah, that was the gist of my question too. Do you feel like the strength of the Big 12, number 2 RPI, might be enough to pull you in?
I thought it was, considering, I thought we played well, really coming down the stretch after the first couple weekends. We really caught fire and we're playing really well. And then we just had this, the unfortunateness of the COVID protocols and a couple small injuries that kind of changed the dynamic of our lineup. And then we were able to get them back, but it was just too late. And so, I thought that our total body of work was good enough to get in.
Let's go to Nikki.
Hey, Coach, what could you say about the guys that have been with you this whole time and now obviously they didn't want their season to end this way, but what can you say about like the legacy they've left here?
I'll tell you what, they've done an amazing job. Some of these guys were the first class when we first got here, and just really happy for everything they've done for this program in regards to how they've established it and help us kind of create our own standard that we expect out of our players, both on and off the field. And, we had meetings with them today and just, seeing guys in tears because of the time they spent here at Baylor and everything they've had to accomplish, and not only on the field, but off the field with their friendships with, their teammates, their friendships with the administration, the professors. It just says a lot about the university when kids feel that attached to a school that they came to, for academics and baseball, but when they're leaving with the amount of relationships they are and knowing that they have a home here is pretty special.
Go over to Chris next.
Hey, Coach, obviously those meetings you mentioned were emotional. What was kind of your message that you were hoping the players would take away from them after it was all said and done?
Just the biggest thing is that, they've made this program what it is. And, as we talk to them, we let them know that, we're here for them regardless. It doesn't really have to be baseball related. If they're looking for jobs, if they have ideas, if they have questions about anything, they're more than able to come in and talk to all of us and to kind of bounce ideas off us. And so for us, it's just a matter of letting them know how much we love them and thankful for them and the effort they gave this program and this university.
Go back to Bryce.
Rod, assuming that you guys don't get a call to join the field, you kind of transition into the off season now. First, the draft. I mean, who do you kind of see as maybe some of your guys that could get picked? And then as you guys do look toward next year, are you excited about, the guys you have coming back?
Well, absolutely. The draft, which is happening in just a later time in mid-July is unique just because, it's really weird if you have a recruit coming in and gets drafted, he ends up signing, it's going to be difficult to try to figure out how to replace them, where if it happens in early June, which it typically does, at least I have a little bit more of the summer to recover. But I'm expecting Andy Thomas to be a fairly decent pick as a senior sign, and some of the metrics that he has from a catching and hitting standpoint. I know a lot of Major League programs are very excited about him. Tyler Thomas, I think, has a chance. Obviously not pitching the last couple weeks. I don't know if that really hurts him, but it would have helped him for sure. And then, there are some outliers like a Davion Downey who might be asked to go, sign a free agent contract or something. But, those are three guys that, I have some expectations for in regards to the draft, but it's going to determine on what that professional team needs.
The NCAA baseball field of 64 is in, and Baylor is out. The Bears did not see their name called during Monday night's selection show during the unveiling of the bracket, but they did see their name immediately after as the first team out of the NCAA tournament. With COVID changing this year's procedure, the team could still make the NCAA tournament if another squad is unable to make their regional due to COVID issues. This must take place within 24 hours of the selection show that ended at 12. Teams such as Michigan, Maryland, and North Carolina all found their way over Baylor, despite having lower RPIs and seemingly worse resumes. This is the first time since Steve Rodriguez's first year at Baylor that the team has not made the big dance. Elsewhere in the conference, 4 teams punched tickets, with 3 being national seeds. Texas landed the number 2 seed and will host a regional, along with 6th national seed TCU and 8th national seed Texas Tech. Oklahoma State also made the field as a 2 seed in the Tucson, Arizona regional. In track, Baylor punched an additional 18 tickets to the NCAA championships in Eugene, Oregon, with a stellar performance in Saturday's West Regional in College Station. Names such as Akira Nugent, Alex Madlock, Aaliyah Miller, Camden Jackson, and Howard Fields III highlight the Baylor's qualifiers, along with the men's and women's 4x4 teams. Elsewhere, a new bill presented would allow college athletes to form unions. A study has shown that athletes see higher post-COVID heart risk. Buffalo's athletic director, Mark Allnut, has signed a 5-year contract extension. Not sure why we care. And John Calipari is waiting on a pivotal ruling on the eligibility of transfers before he will know who will play next year. I'm Armstrong Simpson. That's all the news that is news in college sports. It's been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long-distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line. Alan Samuels is celebrating the Jeep Memorial Day sales event. It's an exciting time for the Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo with up to $37.50 in values or 0% for 72 months. Jeep Cherokee Laredo built tough as nails and up to $37.50 in values or 0% for 72 months going on now. Jeep, a great SUV. Alan Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer. The best place to get your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340. Alan Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by, let's be friends.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more. With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountains?
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Paulie, give me some of your tots. No, go find your own. Come on, give me some of your tots.
No, I'm freaking starved. I didn't get to eat anything today.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Brian, don't be jealous that I've been chatting online with Dave all day.
Your place for a Baylor take on your lunch break. Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Drake Toll alongside Armstrong Sims, Andrew Robertson, Marquise Cooley, and Jack McKenzie. Roll call. All right, we got some birthdays today. It is celebrity birthdays. Armstrong. Tom Holland. Movie actor Tom Holland is how old?
25.
No.
Really?
Tom Holland's 25 today. Marilyn Monroe, dead, would have been how old today?
She died young, I believe. So I'm going to go 85.
Okay.
It's actually a good guess. I'll go 95.
No way. No way.
Really? That may be the first time we've ever gotten two straight. It is. She would be 95 today. Morgan Freeman. All right, Armstrong. This would get crazy.
All I have in my head is 82.
No.
Nah,
Good.
I think he's older than that. But no. 80.
Slightly.
84.
Oh my God! We nailed 3 birthdays. No way you guys get this one. Heidi Klum. Heidi Klum.
Oh, yeah, I know her. She's the model on America's Got Talent.
Yep, the judge. She's dead German.
She's older than you think because she's a model. She looks good. I'm in my head, I'm somewhere from 48 to 52. What do you think?
I'll go 49.
We're on the cusp. Somehow on the cusp.
Oh my gosh.
51.
Oh, 48.
Oh, you had it.
He had it. He had it.
That's okay.
Should have
3 in a row, though.
3 in a row is unbelievable. Link Neal.
48. How?
Yeah.
How did you get that?
I don't know. She looks like she's like 48.
Oh my god.
Link Neal from Rhett and Link.
Oh. He's got the beard. 38. No. That was a scoff? That was that bad?
Yeah, he's not the guy with the beard. He's the other one.
That's Link.
Yeah, Link doesn't have a beard.
Rhett does.
Yeah, this is Link. Link's birthday.
You just said Rhett.
No, I said Link of Rhett and Link.
All right, well, I disavow.
I don't know. I have actually no clue. He could be older. He could be younger.
34. I don't know.
I feel like they're older.
You don't think they're in their 30s? We kind of already dropped the ball on the last one.
Yeah, we did. So it doesn't not really pressure. 41.
43. Amy Schumer is 40. Andy Griffith is 95. Nick Young is 36.
Andy Griffith.
I know. I would love you guys to guess, but you took freaking too long to guess the other ones. We were rolling.
We were hitting real close.
Yeah.
This day in sports history, ridden by outstanding English jockey Fred Archer, Iroquois wins the Epsom Derby to become the first American-owned bred horse to take out a European classic race in 1981. I'm Drake Toll. That's Jack McKenzie. That's Andrew Robertson. That's Armstrong Sims. That's Marquise Cooley. J.D. PicKell. Bump. Zach. What was Zach's last name? This has been Up Tempo.